Alright, that's enough silence.
No,
now.
Damn silence.
Silence. There's been silence. Radio silence.
For 2 months.
Yeah, well, pretty much, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we recorded just before the con.
Right.
And then we said we were going to record during the con, and that didn't work out.
No, that doesn't.
And then just like, you were away, then we were away, then we were away, and then band camp, and well, there goes that shit.
And then the school year has begun.
So now, our wives are teaching, and...
Yep. Fun times. Yeah, so that, I mean, the whole recording at Dice Tower Con thing, that didn't happen. That was,
I mean, it was a good idea, but it just,
the actual logistics of setting time aside in the day to do it is...
And we do run different schedules at the con.
Yeah, absolutely. This year, I was not really even that excited about the convention. I'm starting to feel like Dice Tower Con is a really unfortunately placed in the season, because... Some games come out that early, but a lot of publishers wait. They're like, we're dropping things at Gen Con.
Right.
And you might get lucky, and somebody might have a preview copy or a demo copy in the library, but it's just, I don't know. And I didn't really feel like there was that much coming out this year that I was even that excited about, frankly.
The thing that I noticed with first of all, Gen Con.
Yeah, right.
With Dice Tower Con was that it was the first time there were actual Dice Tower Con releases. Yeah. Which was interesting. Mm-hmm. But I do it's always been that way. It's like you get the few things that have come out at Origins. Yeah, exactly. A few weeks earlier. Uh-huh. And then, then you've got that window till everyone waits till Gen Con. Yeah. I do think as Dice Tower Con grows, we'll have more things being released at that convention. This year was, I said, the first couple games that were first released there. Mm-hmm. But with the doubling of the attendance next year, I feel like they're going to be trying to get more publishers and more of that type thing going on. Mm-hmm. So there might be the interest to say, instead of releasing 10 things at Gen Con, we'll do 2 things at Dice Tower Cons. They're actually going to have 3,000 people there. And the following year, they're actually going to have 4,000 people there, or whatever it is. So, we'll see.
I like the hotel. Yeah. And for the most part, the convention went off without a hitch, except for the whole, open, first day registrations.
And that's been that way. I mean, you've been there 4 of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is now our 3rd.
Right.
And honestly, it's funny, following their Facebook page conversation after the fact. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, there are a lot of armchair quarterbacks saying what they would have done wrong, right, and better. But everything. Yeah. But most people have said, at least at, say, a Gen Con or a lot of these other things, other conventions, it's not, the convention starts at 10. This is when we open the ballroom. So that's when you can start picking up your badges. Uh-huh. There's a window the night before. Yeah. And you can pick your badges up starting 2 hours before the ballroom opens. So it's not that because you didn't get up to get in line at 8 a.m., you're not getting into the ballroom until afternoon. Right. Which kind of stinks. Yeah. We did get up early. We were in the ballroom and that's the weird thing. We weren't that far off the line, but it still took us 45 minutes to get front.
Yeah, but once you got out of the line, it was pretty okay.
Absolutely,
I didn't really have any problems.
That was the worst thing. The only thing there's nothing... That would be the only thing convention related. I think they definitely can improve upon, have that pre-registration the night before. Maybe say, here we have 2 hours, or somehow you pick that certain people can do it, or if you can prove that you've checked into the hotel early, or something. There's some
way to just do it all in one line, right? It's as opposed to go through one line to get in another line.
Well, the problem, and the problem with the line setup. This is another thing too. It seems like they a lot of places do this. They'll arbitrarily say. A through L or whatever it is. So they're splitting the alphabet in half instead of saying statistically, right? Statistically, where's the actual middle? Exactly. And then say it's A to P. Yeah. So that it's an even sized line. Mm-hmm. Those lines are ridiculous. I saw that because I saw you guys had gotten up come in at 10. You're like, we'll be back in a couple hours. And I had actually, because they do the virtual flea market. There was a dude selling a loot crate that was based on International Tabletop Day. Oh, okay. And it had a T-shirt in it and stuff like that. I'm like, it was only for like $20. I'm like, okay, this fine. The T-shirt alone would cost $20, so I got it as a gift for Elise.
Sure.
And it had a bunch of other weird stuff in there, whatever. But he's like, all right, I'm in line. And it was funny because I went looking for him, and thinking about that whole people, anyone who might be listening. I mean, it didn't seem so far until you had to make a turn, and it brought you all the way back around the other side of 3 more ballrooms.
Oh man.
And I didn't have to go all the way back there, but holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I think the whole of the 4 years I've gone, we only did the flea market 1 year, and the line wasn't that
Wait,
bad.
are you talking about the virtual flea market?
Not the virtual.
Okay,
the
yeah.
actual flea,
Okay, yeah, that.
tables
Oh
and
god,
such.
that.
And we saw the line, and we said, fuck this line. What we're gonna do is we're gonna sit in these chairs that are here in the lobby, next to the line, and when the line end is where we are, then we're getting in line. And it worked.
There you go.
And it was just right around the corner, so it was just like, I mean, I'm sure plenty of stuff got picked, and there would have been stuff there that we would have liked to have had and whatnot, but we still found a few things here and there.
But it's also, that's a way for you to keep yourself from buying so much.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Elise and I, we were lucky with the ability to go to secret places off-site to get things. And so we're like, we don't need to buy any more games.
Sweaty warehouses.
Oh, God, sweaty warehouses. But you know what? Sweaty, but worth it.
Yeah, right.
Thank you if you're listening. I doubt it.
The B-Man.
The B-Man. But, we're like, well, we were playing a game at the time, and they can't... And that's the other thing, too. They've learned now this year, because they've increased so much bigger, they need a lot more time to run the flea market. Because I know the line was long. Like, I would pop my head out every 10, 15 minutes. I'd pop out like, nope. And it finally got to the point where you could walk in, and it was like 10 minutes left, I think, in like the real time they're saying. And they came in and they announced it. We're extending the time by this much. We're like, good.
How big was the actual area? Because I didn't even go.
Were you in any of the side ballrooms?
I mean, they were pretty much all about the same size.
Well, I mean, there was there was the 6 small ballrooms off to the right of the main building, the main one.
Yeah.
And the first set that you came to, they had pretty much open and connected.
Okay.
That was the flea market. But it was interesting because they only had, this year they only had tables around the outside, but down the one end was Tom Vassel's table, which had its own line.
Okay.
Which was crazy in and of itself.
Okay.
And we actually, I think the only thing we ended up buying in the flea market was honey from Andrew.
Okay.
Because he was selling honey at his table.
Not even game related?
No, you know what happened? There was a game we played last year at the con.
Bee spew.
No. Yeah.
Have some bee spew.
Yum! This is from this is a winter one, and this is a summer one. I'll take one of each.
Those are good for allergies.
Mm-hmm.
Local honey. A lot of people, I'm surprised when people don't know that. They're like, as soon as this season rolls around, I start getting all these allergy symptoms, and I'm like, bees, dude, have some honey. And they're like, what does that do? But anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, I believe me, I get it. We got it mostly just because, Elise and some of our friends come over, they drink tea a lot. I barely drink tea. But there was this one game, I forget what it was, but I think you probably saw us playing the one night, if you remember. It was like, you kept building platforms that wove on top of each other. I don't even remember what it was called. Guy was selling for $20. I'm like, oh, that's not bad. Let me ask Lisa if she wants it. So we went out, we got it, we grabbed it, we were about to grab it. We walk over to the table, and someone else just walked over and goes, all right. He's like, I'll give it to you for 10. I'm like, fuck. Really? I would have I would have taken that, and there were some people actually selling most of couriers, they're full sets of couriers for really good price.
Yeah.
But we're the idiots. Do you have the boxes for everything?
Yeah.
No, we have everything in these 2 boxes, and they've packing taped them together. Whereas okay, yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, not ideal. And like you say, if you can find some reason to convince yourself not to buy something
a good idea.
very easily, then just do it. Because
it's
easy to go overboard.
Oh yeah, and granted, with our little side trip, we probably did a lot more than we should have. But considering what that would have been, it all works out in the end. So, and I'm being very cagey about it because I want to get in trouble. I want to be invited again next year.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, the logistics. Plus, you guys have a much different schedule than us at that. You do a lot more late night stuff.
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, I was even just sometimes just hanging out in the room. There just wasn't that much going on this year for me for some reason, and it's there were a few games that I enjoyed, and Above and Below was the one that Liz was the most excited about. We ended up playing the most at the convention, just because a lot of the time I didn't feel like learning a new game, so I was just like, whatever, I'll play that again. But yeah, no, I mean, the only thing that I really missed was having Village Inn straight across the street.
You took us on one trip there, right?
We did go there once, yeah, and they still had that. Did we show you? We took a picture of that. Every year we go, they have this kind of like mutant plush Donald Duck in a scale
I remember
machine
seeing it. That's
there.
right. It was still there.
Yeah, it's got the one upside down eyeball.
Because no one wants it.
Yeah, nobody wants it, but it's still in the machine. The machine has not been filled or emptied in 4 years. Like, they just own that machine. Like, a vending machine guy doesn't come and, like, maintain that machine, right?
That's too funny.
It's just sitting there, and they don't give a shit, and nobody... Yeah, it's just, like, kind of the mascot for that place, apparently. It looks a lot like I don't know if you're familiar with the meme of Dolan. He's like this...
No.
Shittily, if that's a word,
Shittily.
Poorly, shitty-looking, like, facsimile of Donald Duck.
Okay.
But his name is Dolan because he's all, like, lumpy-looking and says stupid things and uses poor English, like meme speak and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna take a break to open up my beverage. This is the Joe and Chris do a thing, 11th hour knockoff moment, as we usually do.
It's not Pepsi Max, it's Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal Pepsi, which is available for a very limited time in America, according to the packaging.
But for some people, limited time might mean a year and a half.
Yeah, I don't know what very limited means. I noticed that Johnny was very alarmed by the fact that the very last line on the text on the back of the packaging says, partially produced with genetic engineering. But, okay. Yeah. So what?
It's like, you know what? Actually,
care.
in all honesty, Johnny, you were produced partially by genetic engineering.
Yeah, right.
Every one of us was.
Yeah.
Oy.
But, yeah.
And actually, with the hotel, the food was very expensive.
See, we didn't even bother going to any of the hotels.
Well,
did we? I can't even remember at this point.
We got pizza, like, the first day at the little grab-and-go that they set up outside of the ballroom.
Yeah.
Which I feel, regardless of the price, should have been open 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Which kind of stunk. Because if you actually want something 24 hours, you had to go all the way across the I was about to say campus, all the way across the resort,
right,
and then all the way back over, which not a big deal. Okay, I want to take a walk, but there was that about the other place that you could hop out of the ballroom. There was that little tiny snack thing right next to the front desk, mm-hmm. and you could grab a soda and a snack or something.
But it felt like it was only open until like 8 or something.
The old place, the new place.
At the new place.
Yeah, the new place was barely open until 8, maybe 9.
Right.
And then they weren't open at all the last day. But, like, we were really hungry. We're like, we don't want to leave. We're like, okay, what do we want? We got 2 slices of pizza. Mm-hmm. They were $5 each for a very bad slice of pizza.
Yeah.
It was like a little square, like, about the size of, like, if you remember Elio's pizza,
right.
freezer pizza.
Little
squares of cardboard. Those
right.
things, yeah, from our childhood. Yep. The first thing I was ever allowed to cook on my own.
We actually got some of those a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Liz had never had them.
Oh my god.
I was just like, oh my god, Elio's Pizza. And she was like, what's that? And I was like, French bread pizza?
Not even really French bread. I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, the closest, most people, if they don't know what an Elio's Pizza is, it's kind of a French bread pizza.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Fakey.
Right.
Yeah, and then the one night we went over and I got, they had a pizza with unlimited toppings, but it was like $14 for a pizza. I mean, it was okay. I mean, it was a lot of food, and at least got a salad or something. But
or the unlimited toppings like grasshoppers.
No,
you could just have as many.
Actually,
as you
I
want.
literally, I was like, I'll take 3 meats and jalapeno. I mean, like it was anything.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, that was impressive in itself, but
right.
at the same time, it was like, I just wish there were some better choices.
We can use the pizza thing as a segue to another segment where. Locally, there's a place here that's doing a promotion on Wednesdays. I don't know if they're still doing it this week, but they've been doing it for like the last 3 or 4 weeks. Where if you come in and show them your Pokemon Go app,
I heard about this.
You can get free pizza.
That's
if
great.
You're like a level this high level, you can get like a free 14-inch pizza. Like just and like they don't really check. I've seen them and they just kind of take your word for it. So we went I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Liz and I and a couple friends of ours, people who used to live in the same apartment complex as us. I don't play Pokemon Go. I don't have it installed on my phone, but like when I'm riding along with Liz, I have Pokemon duty. Mm-hmm. Like I have to be on, getting the stops and anything random that pops up. Just, because I have to. Husband duties.
The fact that that's a husband duty.
Right. So the 3 of them all had, a certain level, so they ended up getting 3 10-inch pizzas for free. It's crazy. Like, and then you can get a topping if you want. If you want a topping, you have to pay for it, but it's like $1 for like pepperoni. It's crazy. And then people are like, "How are they making any money at all?" And it's like, well, because now you know that they sell really good pizza,
right?
Because it's actually pretty decent
that's
pizza.
The thing, if it's decent pizza,
and they'll end it at a certain point. It's not like they're going to run this for now, from now to the end of time. But
I mean, I won't lie. I've got the app on my phone.
Do you?
And I think there was like the testing where one, like the first time you load the app up, like a Pokemon appears just in front of you, and I'm like, and then I put it away.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I just never got rid of it after that point. I'm like, whatever. I mean,
it actually launched while we were at the convention.
Because that's when people are walking around and like playing a game while playing games. Like, oh, really?
And it was like towards the end of it. I think it came out on a Thursday.
Yeah, it was like the second day of the con.
Oh, was it second day of the con? Okay. But it was mostly okay, except every now and again you'd have to, like, if you were the aware person in the situation, you had to navigate around just people who were barreling through,
trying to catch something.
Yeah, just not paying attention where they're walking at all. But I'm sure I told you 100 times I was at least relieved, or there was some schadenfreude in seeing somebody tripping on a curb because they weren't paying attention to what they were doing. And I was like, I feel better about this whole situation because you fell.
I mean, I'm not going to, like, destroy the app. I mean, the whole... What was the meme floating around is like... or was it a meme or The Onion or something put a thing out? It's like, millions of nerds accidentally get exercise or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fine. It gets you out and about, but I'm still like,
There's a lot of backlash. And the first couple days I felt not so great about it because I was just seeing it at the convention. And I was like, oh, look at all these people just being distracted by this thing and not taking part of this convention because they're all staring at their phones now and yada yada. But it was just, it had just dropped. People were excited about it.
Yep.
And then, like, we got home and there was instantly a community. Mm-hmm. Like, just, you go to places like Marina Jack's or Moat Marine, just, places in this area that a lot of people go to because it's based around, like, touristy areas.
Yes.
The more activity there is, the more likelihood that there's stuff to find and stuff to do there. So, and you go to these places up until like 3 in the morning, and there are like 50, 60 people at these parks just walking around.
Right. Or just sitting in their cars.
Well, yeah, you can do that too. Because the weather here has been pretty oppressive. It's not as bad as it has been in some places. Apparently in New York it's pretty bad right now.
This is the time of year where I always kind of laugh at the people that before we moved to Florida from New Jersey, they're like, oh, it's going to be so hot down there. And now I've got a friend up north who is like an amateur slash, he has as a hobby, he studies meteorology.
Okay.
And honestly, he's been more accurate than most weathermen. Okay. But like every now and then he'll post like 3 p.m. weather check, and he'll put all these temperatures up. And I will always, because I'll see those temperatures, I'll go to my weather app and go, take a screen capture of it and post it and go, I'm 5 degrees cooler than you.
Right.
Screw you all for saying I was going to be hot. But it has been a lot hotter down. I feel like this summer's been hotter.
It's been a little warmer, and of course it's just always humid.
Yeah.
It's terribly humid. Yeah. Just gross, humid. And it's been a little rainy lately. I mean, we had a pond in the backyard out there on the golf course like 2 or 3 times. Well, maybe 2 times in the last week or 2.
That's fun.
Yeah. It's not a problem for me necessarily, but...
Not your yard.
Yeah, plus we're on the 2nd floor. So that's the thing. If Florida ever floods, like massive flooding, like everyone's got to evacuate because Florida's not going to be a habitable state anymore. We at least have some time. We should probably just get like some kayaks and put them on the back patio.
Lash them down.
Just so we can get out of here if we have to. But so apparently people in New York are worried because the heat is getting so bad that it could trigger their cockroaches to fly. And it's like, oh, poor you.
Like, come to Florida.
Yeah, exactly. We don't, and
we got some bugs for you.
We've got cockroaches, except people call them palmetto bugs.
Yes.
But they're big old nasty orange, red, gross cockroaches. Big cockroaches. We're talking like the size of your thumb cockroaches. Like from your, down a knuckle, 2 knuckles on your thumb. Huge cockroaches. So yeah, I don't feel bad for you. Plus, I mean, we have alligators. So
Yeah, there's that.
or wait, do we have crocs or alligators? I always forget.
We
have one of them. I don't know. We probably have both.
Gators.
Yeah, we get gators. That's right, because they're the anyway. So that happened.
Your wife would yell at you.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Whatever.
Orange and blue.
Very rarely that she can catch me out on something like that. Anyway. She would take advantage of the situation.
You.
Yeah, right. Geez, what else? Oh yeah, so Liz and I went to New Hampshire.
There was
that. Was fun. Yeah, so we went up there because my mom died like more than a year ago. So we did like a ceremony for her a while back where we put some of her ashes in the Gulf of Mexico, and then the other half of her ashes were placed in her family plot in Vermont. Mm-hmm. So that was why we went up there. So it's not the greatest reason to go up there, but it took a day. We just went up there, did that, and then we were there for 8 days total. But we didn't stay in the town I lived in, but we stayed like real close to towns I lived in. So it was cool to be able to go to those places and show her a couple of cool things. Like we stayed at this place called Thayer's Inn, which was built in the 1840s. So that was kind of nice, and it was pretty cheap actually. It was like, I think it was somewhere in the range of $50 to $60 a night.
That's crazy.
So that was kind of nice. It wasn't a huge room. It didn't have all the amenities like, they had Wi-Fi. And they advertised that they had movies available, which meant we didn't even ask until like the day before we left.
Was that the shelf of VHS?
Yes, exactly. It was a bookcase full of VHS cassettes ending at about 2002, Yeah. So that was fun.
High fidelity.
I was like, I wonder if there's anything. I could have just gone down there and taken them and nobody would know, Just be like smuggling out these VHS cassettes. But for what reason? Like, I don't have a VHS cassette player. VCR here. So, that being said, I did buy a VHS cassette at a yard sale while we were there. So it was like a Star Wars. And she was like, I was like, how much do you want for this tape? She's like, 50 cents. And I was like, I'll give you $1. She was like, oh, thanks. And I was like, okay, old lady. I was like, I don't have any way to watch it, but whatever. It's one of the versions from before they did all the special effects updates and stuff, but.
Before Lucas ruined... Oh, wait.
Yeah, right. Before he destroyed my childhood.
We'll talk about it in a little while.
Oh, really?
Yes, we will.
About what?
We saw some movies.
Oh, yeah, we did see some movies recently.
About that.
Oh, boy.
So you went to the arcade.
We did. We went to Fun Spot, which is huge. I mean, I feel like there were more arcade games there when I was a kid. But they have branched out and done other stuff like... I feel like when I was a kid, they always had go-karts and stuff like that, but now they have, like, indoor golf and, other stuff. They've always had bowling and, like, skee-ball, but that's still technically an arcade machine and stuff,
yes.
Table, air hockey, still an arcade machine, that kind of thing, but I felt like they maybe had a fewer arcade machines, and especially, like, old arcade machines that probably just don't work, period. Like, there's no point in, trying to make them work anymore, and putting them out on the floor where they don't work would be pointless because of the way that they work. Like, I think in specific there was like one that was like a race car machine it was like really bizarre rear projection race car game where it wasn't even like a video game technically. It was just like a projected arcade machine type thing where I feel like inside the game there must be a track where like your car is like a pin, and when you navigate the car, you move the pin around on the track, and the pin kind of avoids these obstacles on this track it's running on, and if your pin hits one of those things, it makes this like car crash explosion thing project onto the screen, like a red starburst expands on the screen or something.
Right.
But otherwise, you just keep going. And you just, like, the longer you go, the more points you get or something. And I feel like I played that there when I was a kid, and I was like, I kind of want to see that again, but it wasn't there. But I could have just imagined it. I know I played that arcade machine, but then again, I had a friend who had, like, 3 or 4 arcade machines in his basement that, like, half worked.
Gotcha.
So I might have played it there. But there were definitely just, like, slightly fewer machines, older machines. But there was still some crazy, like, there was a Trivial Pursuit arcade machine there. Like, who goes to the arcade?
To play Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, really?
Who plays Trivial Pursuit?
Right. But we played that, and I made Liz play, like, the 1980, I think it was 83 Star Wars arcade machine, the one with the Vectrix graphics, and where you sit in it and stuff. It doesn't move, but you sit in it, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, she was enjoying. For some reason, the one game she enjoyed the most at the arcade was Arkanoid.
I love the
because it has the arcade machine has the dial,
the real dial that you can really control.
Right, exactly. So she was like, "Oh, I love this." I'm like, "You know, we could play this at home." She's like, "Yeah, but I'd have to use the D-pad on the controller." And I was like, "Yeah, that's true." But I looked into it, and you can get there was an N64 controller that's like the middle portion, you know, like the trigger portion that a lot of people hate.
Right.
That's just that part with like the two wing sides cut off. And all the buttons are just compressed onto the middle wing or the middle trigger section, and it's for racing games. And I don't think it has the same range of motion, but it's got kind of like a wheel in the middle of it, like a rubber like car, you know, like a race car wheel looking thing that you twist to turn left and right. But I don't know if it's not 1-to-1. It's not like a dial that you actually turn. It's probably just literally like a thing that when you crank it to the left, it moves left. Crank it to the right, it moves right. So. I don't know, it'd still be kind of cool, maybe get it, because it's like $2 or something.
Yeah, really, what's going to
get one and see if it's any fun, but then you could play that at home. But
that was the old pizza place that was around the corner from where I used to live. They had Arkanoid, and we'd be like, I got my quarters!
Nice.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got cool, I mean, it's a classic game. I mean, people who don't know what we're talking about, it's the game, it's not just called Breakout.
It was originally Breakout, then it was Super Breakout, and then
Arkanoid. And there's even like Super Arkanoid, and all kinds of other adaptations of the game, and I'm sure you can find like a free version of it on iOS and Android and stuff like that, but you have a paddle at the bottom of the screen, and you have a ball that bounces up and breaks all these bricks that are on the screen. Some of the games are, you know, the knockoffs are like Brick Break or Brick Explosion or Brick Escape or whatever. But you get little power-ups and stuff where you can shoot lasers or multi-ball or where you can capture the ball or the paddle expands and stuff.
Yeah. You can you split the ball or you can slow it down.
Yeah, there was even like on the Genesis there was one that it was kind of like you were moving up the screen as you broke the bricks, and like you could you had this weird like paddle that was kind of shaped like an L, so you had like an arm on the side that you could help catch things with, and you could move it to the right, and little like, but it was this weird like wizards and dragons fantasy theme to it. It was kind of strange. I don't remember what it was called, but anyway. So we did that. That was fun. A whole bunch of fun. We spent we did like $20 in tokens per person, which turned out to be like way too much. We should have just done like $20 worth of tokens and split them up, because we were there for like 4.5 hours.
That's awesome.
But like towards the end, we were just like, I still have like half of my tokens. What are we gonna do with all these tokens? And like, I mean, I was being like the cool old guy, just like going around. Anytime I won tokens or tickets, I just hand them out to kids. Like some little kid just be walking by, be like, "Have a bunch of tickets," and they're like, "Oh my god, tickets!"
Yeah, you can get a plastic spider ring.
Right. I think I gave away like $1's worth of tokens to some kid when I only had $1 left in my bucket. I was just like, whatever, take them. But we put a lot of money into this one Jurassic Park arcade machine they have. It's a newer game. But it's just like you're in. Two of you are in one of those Jeeps from Jurassic Park. But the whole game is just you driving around killing dinosaurs. Like, I understand that it's like you have to survive and everything like that, but that's kind of antithetical to the whole concept of the Jurassic Park, like, theme park.
Well,
I mean, I don't know where in the timeline of this series it's supposed to be, but if it's supposed to be during the first movie, that seems really bad. Like, we're just gonna kill them. They're really bad dinosaurs.
He breathed on me the wrong way,
I guess. But it was kind of goofy to where, like, most of the time you're just driving around shooting stuff. But then when, like, a really big dinosaur shows up, like a T-Rex or whatever, there'll be these moments where, like, they swoop in to attack you and the game goes into, like, bullet time, like, it slows down.
Right.
And then when they open their jaw, like, a bunch of targets appear on their jaw, like, and you have to get all 6 of them before time runs out, otherwise they bite you. So, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, we dumped a lot of money into that. And Liz was getting really mad because, like, all my shooting scores were super high, and I kept winning all these, like, medals every round. Like, and who was the MVP of that round? And it would be like, you know, like, Yeah, exactly. It'd be counting down and, like, doing drum roll, and then, bing, it was this guy. And Liz is like, why is it always you? I'm like, I don't know. Because I'm good at this. I played T2, the arcade machine, a lot when I was a kid, so...
Aim is my thing.
Yeah, right. So we did that.
That's funny, because, like, well, we, other than the Dice Tower Con, we went out to Disney for 2 little trips, which we've never... You know, I was a huge Disney fans, and we would spend 10 to 12 days a year, we'd come down here.
Yeah.
Since we've moved here, these were, like, the longest trips we went out there for. We actually did, like, 2 nights for 1 week, and we did 3 nights another week, which was a long thing for us.
Yeah.
And we actually really ran everywhere.
Because you usually just do day trips?
Yeah, we do day trips, maybe 1 night.
Yeah.
So going out for 3 days is like, oh my god, we're out here forever. But it's funny because you're saying that there's a couple attractions that are shooting attractions. Mm-hmm. One is Buzz Lightyear themed, where you're in a car and you both have guns which are mounted, which sucks, and you're shooting at those. Mm-hmm. And then there's another one which is based on Toy Story, which is all instead of guns, it actually has like, how do I describe this thing? The gun has a rope with a ball on it, and you pull that, and that's how you shoot. So if you want to shoot fast, you're like, it's this weird motion you have to do.
Is that kind of like a pop gun kind of thing?
Kind of.
Yeah,
I think that's why I guess maybe they're trying to make it not look like your average gun.
Right, yeah.
Which is pop. But usually, at least in Elise's estimation, I always kick her butt. Uh-huh. And it's funny because she's like, how the hell are you at like 200,000 points and I'm at 30? Right. I'm like, I don't know. But she ended up like, at one of the games, while we were out there, she actually turned around and like destroyed me. She's like, you let me win. I'm like, okay, like years ago we had a big thing about like letting each other win. Right. Do not dare you, don't do that.
It's not worth it.
Right. Okay, fine. I will try and wipe the floor with you if I can.
Right.
I'm like, I swear to you.
No.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah.
We tried a lot of really good food. Oh my god.
We ate at a bunch of places that I when we were in New Hampshire, we ate at like a lot of pizza places, honestly, because there were just a lot. I mean, it's not like, I'm not going to say like New Hampshire is like a pizza mecca or something like that, but there are a lot of pizza restaurants. There just are, and they make like a particular style of pizza that is similar to like Neapolitan, or depending on who owns the restaurant, where they're from. Like they might be Greek, or they might be. I mean, the one place we went to, it wasn't even owned by the same guy anymore, but the pizza was pretty much identical. The only thing that was unfortunate was that this one place that we went to, the one I was just talking about that switched hands, they don't make calzone anymore, which was sad because this was one of my favorite places to get calzone when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So, but it was still nice that it was there. But yeah, we ate a lot of pizza while we were there. That was good too.
It's funny because you say New Hampshire. Like, how far were you from Vermont?
We were in Vermont at certain points. Yeah, not far at all.
Like when you lived, were you near Burlington area?
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah. You can drive to Burlington.
There
in
was
45 minutes.
When I was in marching band, because again, nerd on many levels.
Yep.
We did a trip up to Vermont my freshman year, and we were in Burlington. We were supposed to do the tour of the Ben & Jerry's place, but there was a pizza place that we stopped at in Vermont near Burlington called Zachary's, and I just remember like 4 of us trying to eat one of these pizzas, and it was one of those like it was like that big. The slices were ridiculous. Like, we'll split a pizza.
It was like folding style, though?
I mean, but like massive folding style. Like, this is crazy. I just remember being so good. I'm like, it would be fun if you knew that place, but
no, never went to Zachary's. We did drive past a Papa Gino's, and I was like, oh, we should go to Papa Gino's, and I was like, let's maybe not go to Papa Gino's actually, because I don't think it'll hold up. That's the greasiest pizza ever. Greasy. Well, I don't know if it's the greasiest ever, but it's pretty
pizza
bad.
Needs to be a little greasy.
Yeah, it should be. I'm trying to think, what else did we do while we were up there? We went to a lot of cemeteries. That was fun because I used to hang out at cemeteries when I was a kid, because I was one of those kids. And because there's just cool stuff in cemeteries too. But
I don't judge.
Yeah, right. Like, and some of the cemeteries we went to had like a lot of Pokemon stuff going on in them.
Which is awkward in and of itself.
Yeah, right. One cemetery I did want to go to, that was in one of the towns I lived in, we couldn't go into. And I remember after we tried, because we like went to the one side of it, and it was, there was like a gate, and then the back side of it, I was like, oh, there's a way to get on the back side, but they put up a fence, and I was like, oh man, we always broke into the cemetery when we were kids. And then I was like, I can't really get away with that shit now.
No.
Like, as a 30, like, almost 40-year-old man, I'm 37 now, like, you can get away with that when you're 16.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Like, just, kids being kids, and, like, what are they going to do? Like, I'm 16 or I'm 18 or however old I was at the time. It's like, what are they, but, like, some 37-year-old dudes just breaking into a cemetery? That's kind of weird. You got a problem here.
There's a level. There's a line that you pass at some point.
You can't get away with that shit anymore. So I was like, well, I can't go in there, but whatever. There was this one cemetery that was in Whitefield, one of the towns I lived in with my family, actually, that has, like, the weirdest, most, like, macabre, like, morbid inscription on it. It's like, says something like, traveler, as you pass by, stop and look at this, stop and pay attention to this grave, and, like, where I am now, you will soon be. And it's just like, Jesus Christ.
Thank you.
Holy fuck, Mr. What's-His-Face, who died in 1840. You are scary as shit, my friend.
I have no idea who you are, but damn.
Yeah, right?
Oh, God.
Liz was kind of excited when we were staying at the inn because it was one of the reviews that we saw on, like, Yelp or whatever. Somebody said that they had no problems with the hotel. It's just the first night, the room they put them in made them feel really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to be put in a different room. So Liz was like, oh my God, it's haunted. But we didn't end up getting a haunted room. Nothing really ghostly happened at all the whole time we were there. I mean, the first night we went to sleep, I wasn't expecting anything to happen. I wasn't, like, sitting there laying in bed all paranoid or, like, freaked out or anything like that. But I felt like something tapped me. But, that could be anything.
That could be you starting to fall asleep and something goes weird in your brain.
So it wasn't like I woke up and felt like something was sitting on my chest or something was sitting on the end of the bed or I saw a shadow figure. Nothing. Nothing like that. But, of course, as I said, Liz was doing Pokemon Go a lot while we were there, and she did see a haunter, like one of the... I think that's its name. Oh, no, I think it was a... I don't remember which type it was, but there's a ghost-type Pokemon. As we were outside of the hotel, or the inn, like, literally on the inn. She was like, well, I did see a ghost. And I was like,
Way you turn that around.
Yeah, right. And apparently while I was in New Hampshire, I developed a taste for sparkling water. So that's...
I was like, some people were like, you got old.
Yep, apparently when you get this old, you just decide that you like sparkling water.
I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm older than you, so...
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you missed it. Well, in New Hampshire, there's, like, a brand called Polar, which is this, like... I mean, they make sodas, they make all kinds of, like, beverages, but... and I couldn't find any of their sodas anywhere, which is weird. Because they make, like, root beers and birch beers and things like that. But none of it at all. But sparkling water was everywhere. So I bought, like, so many of these sparkling waters because they were, like, $5 for $5 or something like that at the grocery store. So... And then when we got back, I was like, oh, LaCroix. I was like, why is everybody all excited about this LaCroix all the time? And then I tried some, and I was like, I need more LaCroix. I need it now. But such is life.
Yes.
Yep.
And in a segue from speaking of ghosts,
yeah,
so we finally saw Ghostbusters. Now,
right.
this is about the last 4 days of our summer vacation.
Right.
Thursday, well, we had band camp the last 2 weeks, and Thursday night we went to the movies because there was a drum bugle corps competition, so we watched that. And then the next day, she's like, I want to go to movies. We didn't see any movies this summer we wanted to see, so we went, and we were theater hopping because everything we wanted to see had been out for a while.
Oh, right.
So we went out on Cortez in Bradenton we saw Secret Life of Pets.
Was this at the Dollar Theater?
No, it wasn't actually. Oh, okay. It was actually a theater that had recliners in it, which was really kind of nice.
Kind of a strange movie to see in kind of a luxury environment.
It wasn't... Okay, let's put it this way. Not, like, comfy recliners like these. I mean, still, like, stiff, sort of, but it did pop back, and it was comfortable, and, it was a nice little thing. Gotcha. And there was only, like, maybe 40 seats in the theater. So that's a nice thing, too. Huh. So we saw that movie.
Right.
We're like, well, all right. Well, do we want to go see another movie? The other one we were talking about was Ghostbusters.
Right.
And it wasn't playing at that theater, but it was playing at the theater right by the house. Like, all right. Well, we ran and I forgot. Whatever. We pretty much went from theater to theater, saw Ghostbusters. Now, you liked it, right?
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
Okay, we really loved it.
Yeah? We liked it. We weren't, like, bowled over. We weren't like, oh my god, this I'm not saying that you were thinking that either, but,
Yeah. However, I think for some of the most laugh-out-loud moments I've had in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
For me.
There were plenty of laughs.
Yeah, which was great. I mean, usually even in a theater, first of all, I really do hate going to movie theaters.
Most of the time.
Because people suck.
Mm-hmm.
But we're sitting there and... I mean, I try not to be the guy who is behind you who can't stop laughing. Mm-hmm. But there was a few moments I was just like, I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
And we walked out like, that was great. That was awesome. So, yeah, I love the original. Mm-hmm. Didn't ruin my childhood.
My only complaint about the movie, and it's not from like a gender politics perspective, but some of the Chris Hemsworth stuff was just a little like, I mean, I get he's supposed to be stupid.
Yeah.
But it's like, nobody's really that stupid.
Well,
I mean, and I know it's a movie and it's like exaggerated and he's a character and stuff, but
I understand that. I take his over the top dumbness to be, kind of, what do you consider movies like Ghostbusters and Goonies and Animal House and certain things are over the top comedies. So there's certain things they're going to overdo. Like, he scratched his eye the first time and I'm like, wait. And then the line's like, why no glass? Oh, they keep getting dirty, so I just took the glass out.
Yeah,
what? I mean, okay, funny. The only thing that bothered me, and I told Elise this after we saw it, was, at this point, if you haven't seen it, but here goes more spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. Spoilers!
Yeah, but like when she dove in, when...
Kate McKinnon's character.
Not Kate McKinnon.
Okay.
Kate McKinnon was Holtzman.
Yeah.
At the end, I can't... Oh my god! One Abby and Erin? Is that two names?
I forget.
Whatever. Kristen Wiig.
Yeah.
Jumps in to save Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, okay, right.
And I know we don't know what physics are in this nether region.
Right.
But the way she was posed looked too much like a Ghostbuster posed, like Christopher Reeve being green screened for the original Superman.
Yeah.
Like, it was just kind of like, she was like, ha-ha, my arms are straight out. Like, that just, it seemed a little, that just took me out of it a little bit. I'm like, all right, but that's small. That's minor.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's just niggling complaints.
Right, it's a small little thing.
And then she jumps in after, so the first one goes in, and then, like, a certain amount of time elapses before the second character goes in, and she's somehow able to catch up with her. Mm-hmm. It's like, wait, how? Like,
I mean, even that doesn't bother me as
right,
much.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But it's just, I know, it was just the stupid posing and being like, all right, why is she Superman?
Yeah.
But that's fine. And, now the funny thing is that, of course, that Saturday we were at the shop because we had the board game event again. And suddenly she's like, let's go to theater. Let's go to movies again. And we went and saw Now I See You Too. The magic sort of, Now I See You. Now You See Me. Sorry, Now You See Me.
I don't even remember the first movie.
We saw the first one maybe like a year ago, so we saw two. And they're like, can I go see Ghostbusters again? So we saw Ghostbusters for a second time.
Right.
But the Now You See Me experience was another one of the reasons why I hate going to theaters, because it had been out for so long.
Yeah.
And it was at Hollywood 20 here. And we walk in, and the only other people who are in the theater, and who end up being the only other people in the theater, are about 6 mid-teenage girls.
Oh.
And I'm guessing at some point Mom came in, but she was young, cool Mom. Mm-hmm. So they were being very loud, obnoxious teenage girls. But the first thing we see, we turn a corner, are two of them on the railing. Standing on the railing above the drop down. And we looked up and we literally just said, really?
Why are you doing this?
And then your parents would sue the theater. But they just kept talking. We're like, okay, now the previews start. Talk, fine. And Elise, I'm just like, I'm getting ready to walk out of here.
Yeah.
And Elise just turned around and said, and just very nicely, but very just pretty much saying, shut your fucking mouths. Because I told her, I'm glad you said it the way you did, because I would have said, why don't you shut your fucking mouths? Mm-hmm. And they shut up, and it was a good movie, but anyway.
Yeah. No, that's totally if I'd been in that situation, my mom would be in my head. She'd be saying shit like, I came here to enjoy the antics of this movie, not your stupid fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
this isn't what this is about. Environment is not for what you're using it for.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's certain, but the fact that it was two of us dead center in the theater, and this little gaggle up in the back corner.
Yeah.
I mean, we were that close to having our own show, and that would have been lovely. Mm-hmm. But no. But at least they did shut up after she at least opened her mouth.
Right.
Because, yeah. And she said she handled it like a teacher.
Yeah, right, exactly.
She handled it like a teacher because I would not have handled it like a teacher.
Curt, authoritative. This is what's happening.
Just like we're all here to have a good experience and enjoy this. And I would really appreciate if you guys would keep your voices down so that we all can enjoy this together. So, something really, but she was not kidding around with it.
No, exactly.
And I heard one go, sorry. Yeah. Well, if you're talking at full volume or higher,
don't be sorry. Be quiet.
You're an asshole.
Maybe next time you won't have to be sorry because you'll think about it. Jackass.
They don't think about it.
Well, I mean, you said you saw Life of Pets in a small place. Did we tell you about the theater that we saw Ghostbusters in?
I know it was like an old tiny theater.
Yeah, it was this place called the Rialto, which I lived in Lancaster for a couple years. And the whole time I lived there, I don't think I ever saw a movie there. And I think it was open when I lived there, but for a few years, maybe 10 years now, it has been out of business. So I actually saw it in a shitty movie called Yellow Brick Road. One word. Yellow Brick Road, one word. Which is this terrible, terrible horror movie about just people who just start losing their minds and like ripping people's legs off and shit. It's just terrible.
Another moment.
Yep. The Sprite. But part of the movie, like one or two scenes of the movie were filmed in Lancaster. So they literally, like, in the trailer even, there's just a shot where they're walking down the street of this depopulated city and, like, the Rialto Theater's right there in front of them. So I was like, hey, we were getting pizza, actually, at a place, like, right across the street, Lancaster House of Pizza. And my cousin's like, you want to go see Ghostbusters after this? And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go see Ghostbusters. And we walked in, and he was like, it was pretty cheap. It was like $5 or whatever. And he's like, yeah, and that's in the new theater. And my cousin's like, where's that? He's like, right behind you. So, like, you turn around and you look, and it's just a room with 5 rows of 6 seats each. And that's it. And, like, one aisle down the left-hand side, and just a storefront window to the sidewalk. So you're sitting, staring at the sidewalk, and we're like, how does this work? Like, is this a movie, or you got, like, people gonna get dressed in costumes and dance around on the sidewalk in front of us?
Live reenactments?
Yeah, exactly, right? This is the $5 version, what's your problem? But yeah, no, screen comes down and, like, a backdrop drops behind that, so no light was coming in at all. It just, perfect. It worked excellently. It was a little bit loud, but, for a room that big, it's going to be kind of loud because, what are you going to do? You can't really dampen it. You could turn it down, I guess, but whatever. Pardon me as I vampire cough into the pit of my arm. That's a phrase I've just recently become aware of.
The vampire cough?
The first time somebody said it, I was like, I have no idea what that means. And then I was like, oh, vampire, because you look like you're pulling your cape in front of your face. I get it. I would call it Dracula coughing myself, but okay, because not all vampires have a cape. Anyhow. But yeah, it was like a small group of people, and it looked like the theater was actually being pretty clever. Like, they were doing things to, like, get people interested in movies instead of just being like, fuck them if they don't come to our theater. Kind of like, like a place, Hollywood 20, dropped their prices considerably, and I'm sure they've noticed a lot of people coming to see movies constantly.
Yeah.
But this place was like, $5 is even cheaper than Hollywood 20 is here. But it's a really small place in a small town and all that stuff, so... but they were doing things like for, I guess, Bad Moms or something, or... I can't remember what the name of the movie is, but there's this movie out now. Well, that's the theme.
If that's the theme, if that's one, it's called Bad Moms. Yes.
Yeah, Bad Moms. So they probably already did it. It was an event where they would, like, give you a bunch of booze before the movie. like, oh, that sounds like a great...
Good plan.
Good plan, but I'm sure they do business with it, so that's good for them.
Hey, do something different, draw people in.
Right. And then when we were staying in Littleton, we ended up seeing Tarzan, which was not so good. Mm-hmm. It was okay. It was just sort of like... It was really weird, too, because it felt like, what if Quentin Tarantino made a Tarzan movie?
Really?
Yeah, because it had like a bunch of actors that have been in Tarantino films in the last 5-6 years. You know, like I forget his name right now, but the guy who was like the Nazi bad guy in Inglourious Basterds.
See, I never saw Inglourious Basterds. So.
And then he was the guy who trained Django in Django Unchained. I should remember his name, but I don't. You know, and like and Sam Jackson was in it. And I mean, there was some actiony stuff that you wouldn't typically see in a Tarantino movie, and people weren't throwing the N-word everywhere, so it wasn't... I'm not saying it was like a Tarantino movie, but it was like these Tarantino players were showing up in it, and I was just kind of like, this is weird. And sort of like the period was kind of right. He's kind of obsessed with that time period, or that that general old-timey era now. But it wasn't a terrible movie. It was just kind of like very predictable, and it was like a movie full of like, okay, well, you know, we've got all this African culture, but then the savior of the movie is this white guy. It's just kind of like, are we really making this movie now in 2016 about like how all these people love their white savior guy? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this movie right now. But it wasn't, like I say, it wasn't super bad, but I mean, I hardly remember that I even saw it, honestly, until we started talking about movies. And I was like, oh yeah, and then I saw this movie too. But the weird thing about that theater was, like, they just didn't show any... This was at a different theater altogether. There's no trailers. Just
really?
Straight into the movie.
That would throw me the hell off.
Right in. Because we were like, oh, the movie's going to start in, like, 5 minutes. Let's walk over. And, like, we start paying for it. Well, we get in there and find out they don't take credit cards, which was weird. So we had to go to the ATM and come back. And as the movie's already started. It's only, like less than a minute in, but we're like, no fucking trailers. Okay, whatever. Right into the movie. But, whatever.
I mean, that's exactly, of course, the other side of it, when we decided to go see Ghostbusters yesterday for the second time. Mm-hmm. We had seen Now You See Me too. We get home, we're doing some stuff, and Elise just stops in the middle of doing something. She goes, what time was Ghostbusters playing again tonight? We're already on our sofa. I said, I think you said it was 4:55. She's like, yeah, it was. I'm like, what time is it now? She's like, it's like 4:37, 4:38. She's like,
plenty of time.
It's like, do you want to go? I don't know. Should we? Yeah. And we're doing this back and forth. Like, meanwhile, now it's 4:40. And like, all right, let's go.
You're not going to miss the movie.
No, and that was the best part. We hopped in the car, drove to the theater, got tickets, got popcorn, got everything, got in there, even got decent seats, ran to use the bathroom, came back in. I'm like, well, I missed the first trailer that I saw the first time I saw this movie 2 days ago. So that would have completely, if it was a theater that didn't show, I was like, really?
Yeah, it was just kind of weird. I mean, and it was the place that we saw Tarzan at literally only had 2 theaters itself. So it was a smaller place as well. But, the only thing that we meant to do when we were in New Hampshire that we didn't end up doing was going to America's Stonehenge in Salem, New Hampshire, which is this site where there's like some, rock formations and stuff that are, like they were positioned there by people, and there may or may not be a sacrificial altar there, yada yada. And some of nobody really knows who built it or why they built it, if it ever had a real purpose or if it was just built strictly as like a curio, like something for people to be interested in or whatnot. But
I think it's definitely a guy named
Tim Banal. Literally, a couple days after we went, this guy that I listened to his podcast, Tim Banal, went there. It's funny that you would say Tim.
I was pulling a name out of my butt.
And then on the way home, I set a bunch of YouTube videos to be available offline, so I'd have something to do on the plane. Right. And I set an episode of In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. Do you ever watch that show?
I know of it, but I don't think I've really... I might have watched something in the middle of the night at one point.
Yeah, it was just like a paranormal show where they just talked about stuff. They're like, what about Dracula? Like that kind of stuff. There was a whole episode about Vlad Tepes and Dracula and vampire lore that was pretty popular back in the day. But so I just set this one video to view offline, and it was an episode about people who may have visited the Americas before we think people visited the Americas. And part of what they talked about was America's Stonehenge. And I was like, well, that's fucking weird.
I was just there.
Yeah, right. But I didn't end up going. But we also had some really awesome fudge that we got at that candy store, but unfortunately none of it survived. Well, it survived the trip home.
Oh, yeah. Well, but, I mean, it's been weeks. I mean,
yeah,
really.
Right. But it was good.
That candy store was insane. That counter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's this place called Chudder's in Littleton, New Hampshire, and I'm not sure that they like go in and check this every year to make sure that they're still the record holder, but they were announced or pronounced the Guinness Book of World Records world's longest candy counter, because it just runs the whole length of the store, and it's kind of a longish store, so pretty big selection of candy there.
Chudders, that sounds like something that you would get. That's like a situation you'd have after eating too much candy. You'd get the Chudders. Right.
The sugar shudders, the Chudders. It reminds me, there was this movie in the 80s called Chud. Did you ever see that movie?
I never saw it, but I know the name Chud.
Chudders. But yeah,
cannibalistic. Was it cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers?
Well, the thing about that is that cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers was like the cover story. Like there being mutants in the subway that would kill people and eat them was like a byproduct of some genetic testing, or like I think it ends up being that they just dumped a bunch of waste underground, and that's what caused them. But there was really like Chud actually stands for something else, like a secret thing underneath the cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. So, like, they created this disinformation campaign that got people more interested in that. But anyway, don't mind me. You know what, actually, though, I was thinking about Ghostbusters, and what I would have liked more of was the character from the very beginning of the movie, that guy who's, like, the tour guide.
He soiled his pants. I didn't soil my pants.
Yeah, right. I forget his name, but he's also on Silicon Valley, and he plays a character named Jared, and he's like really good on the show. He's like the super nice guy that's like super sweet and like really intelligent, but like nobody gives him any respect until like somewhere in the third season everybody starts coming around to the fact that he's like a really, really great person. But like, and he basically plays the same character in this. And there were a bunch of bit actors that showed up in the movie, like this, Secret Service or CIA guys, or played by like people you recognize from other stuff. And,
I definitely recognize them, but I just couldn't place where they're from.
Like Matt Besser is the one with the mustache. He was from Upright Citizens Brigade, and he's been in a bunch of films here and there. But yeah, no, I liked it a lot. I mean, I don't know that they necessarily need to make a sequel. I'm sure if it made money, they'll make a sequel. Yeah, totally.
With the last scene after the after the credits.
Oh right, yeah. And I feel, I mean, a lot of people say like, oh, if you really like the movie, you're just copping out and saying that you like the movie so you won't get accused of being a sexist.
No, I really like the movie.
Exactly. Like, how insulting. Like, people could actually really like this movie. I understand that you didn't like this movie, but other people are different people.
When this movie comes out on Blu-ray, I'm buying it the first day.
I mean, I'll get it eventually. I'm not super, like...
I mean, it's one of, like, because we're those two type of people who will throw a movie on a million times. And we'll memorize it for line because we're idiots. But, but I mean, like, we'll be, put it on. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy, great movie. We'll just throw it on. Because it's a good movie. Yeah. We may not pay attention to half of it, but every now and then we'll stop and go, oh yeah, this scene. Yeah. So that'll be the first one. Right.
I mean, if it's available in Steelbook, I'll probably get that, because I'm addicted to Steelbooks.
Everyone's got the thing.
Yeah, Chris JC actually hit me to there being a Ghostbusters Steelbook that's region-free, so I might have the original Ghostbusters. 80s Ghostbusters. But, I also saw a movie that I shouldn't have seen because it was terrible, and everybody told me it was terrible. And the only reason...
See it anyway?
Yeah, I decided to see it anyway. Well, recently, Frank Conniff and Tracy Beaulieu of Mystery Science Theater 3000 fame, Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank, started a podcast called Movie Time with the Mads. Or no, Movie Sign with the Mads. Okay. I always get that mixed up, but it's, straight from the TV show. Right. Where they watch movies, and then they talk about them. And one of the episodes recently, they don't always do movies that are terrible, but, they usually do. and they recently talked about Batman versus Superman, and I was like, oh, I really don't want to watch this movie. And then the next day, a friend of mine was like, you really should watch this movie, because then I'll have somebody to complain about it with. And I was like, ugh. So then I got a hold of it. It was 3 hours long, and it was really bad. But I was actually disappointed with a lot of the complaints that people had with the movie. Like, one of the big complaints that people had was that Batman is stopped from killing Superman because their moms have the same first name, Martha, which is like it's a moment in the film, and it's a turning point in the film where he's not against him anymore. Mm. And a lot of people just boiled that down to he stopped because their moms have the same first name, and that isn't even close to what happens in that scene.
Right.
Like, what happens is he's about to kill him. Spoiler alert! And if you haven't seen this movie, don't see this movie.
I haven't seen it, and I really don't care.
Yeah. So he says, something like, "Tell Martha." Superman says this to Batman because he thinks he's about to die, and he wants him to just tell his mom, whatever, that he's sorry or he's sad or he loved her or something like that. So he's about to do that, and Batman is confused in that moment because that's his mom's name, and he doesn't know why Superman is talking, he believes, about his mom. Why are you talking about my mom? So he has this moment where he's like confused. He doesn't understand what's going on. And then, because of that pause, Batman understands what's going on, and he realizes that Superman has a mom. So it humanizes him. Mm-hmm. Like, this guy's not from Earth, but he's a human, technically.
Right.
Now, because he's got a mom. So it's not like he's stopping killing him because their moms have the same name. There's more to it.
Of course.
And for people to just boil that down to his mom's got the same name, it's just like, I don't like this movie and you're making me defend it. Like, that's not even what happens. Were you even watching the movie? Like, I don't know. I always hate it when people complain about, or, like, their basis for either hating or liking something is so fallacious. Like,
well, people like to distill things down to the easiest,
they do,
smallest things.
Right.
Like, well, it's because of this. Well, no. I
mean, I get it. It makes a funny meme. Like,
right.
Okay, meme. But, and like, I'm not saying it's a great movie, or that, like, when you understand this scene, it becomes a better movie. But it's like, I can think of really valid reasons why this movie's terrible. Not that one scene that you misunderstood. Like, it's a bad movie because it goes nowhere. It's a bad movie because nobody cares about these characters anymore. It's a bad movie because Zack Snyder doesn't make good films anymore. Mm-hmm. And they just keep letting him make movies for this company. Like, it was bad. And, Liz and I were kind of excited about Suicide Squad. Kind of on the same, like, hey, this could be like DC's Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. These are characters that, like, people aren't so familiar with.
Right.
I mean, like, Harley Quinn, people are super familiar with, so...
She's got, like, the underground cult following.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it had a little bit of that Guardians of the Galaxy thing going for it, and a little bit of the Deadpool thing, because it's this, like, fourth wall breaking, sarcastic character, over-the-top character kind of thing. So it's like, it's got kind of both of that going on at the same time, so this could be really good. We're not tired of these characters. They're not going to tell us their origin story for the 8th time. They're, I'm not going to be like, that's something that character would never do, etc. But apparently it's really bad, so I'm not going to bother seeing it. I'm not going to bother paying to see it, that's for sure.
Right.
I mean, if it's on Hulu or Netflix or Amazon or any number one of the streaming services we have, eventually I'll check it out. Maybe, but I don't.
That's one of the funny things, like, over at the shop, the Thursday night that any weekend that there's a superhero movie coming out, there's always, like, a sort of field trip on a Thursday night. Right. They go out to one of the early showings. Owner, employees, customers, whatever, they all head over. Right. Like, and they come back, and I always go, so? That was Suicide was lesson. So, how was it? Yeah. What was Superman and Batman? I'm like, well, why you...
Yeah. And, like, some people are even saying, like, some of the rumors coming out from behind the scenes of Wonder Woman is that it's also going to be really bad.
Great.
Really bad. And then, like, while this is all going on, people have, like, all their energy, like, all their getting ready to be disappointed energy focused on all the DC movies that are going to be coming out for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And something like Rogue One comes up, and there's like new trailer for Rogue One came out yesterday or day before,
a couple days, yeah.
And people are like super excited about it, and I'm just kind of like, I would temper your expectations. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's an outside of it's a side story, so it could be really good in that people won't expect too much of it. But I don't know. The trailer's got Darth Vader in it, so people are "Oh, Darth Vader!" People
lost their shit on that. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah.
And I'm gonna see the movie. It is. I mean, that's
I'll definitely give it a shot.
Right. I mean, right now, at least Star Wars as a franchise has proven to me that I should go see the movies in the theater if I can help it. Just like Marvel. Right. If there's a Marvel movie out, generally I'm gonna go see it. DC has definitely not proven that.
Right. Well, depending for Marvel, I mean, we talked about this before, but
of course.
It depends on which studio is producing it.
Yeah.
The X-Men films.
I haven't been interested.
You know what I mean? Fantastic Four.
Right. This main universe.
I can maybe Avengers, Spider-Man. I don't really like the Iron Man films so much. I kind of like the second Captain America movie, but more Deadpool films, sure. More Guardians of the Galaxy films, yes. Captain Marvel, I'll go see that probably.
Black Panther.
Black Panther. Some of these newer characters that are a little fresher. But yeah, DC, I don't know what they're doing. It's fucked up because their TV shows are fine. People seem to love their TV shows.
Yeah, Arrow. I mean, again watch all 3 of those.
I mean, but I guess I don't know if part of it is that they feel, and it can't be because there's really got to be no sort of continuity between the people who produce these things. But it's is it just that these characters' stories are they can't break them down into an hour and a half? We got to make a 3-hour long movie or 2.5 hour long movie every time out of the gate. When it's we can do this in a TV show because we have half an hour to an hour, and we can do it weekly or in a series of episodes and spread it out over a greater period of time instead of trying to jam all this crap into what's even too long. Just do a TV show. You seem to be doing TV shows okay. And I don't even watch them. I don't watch any of the Marvel TV shows either, but it seems like Marvel does movies pretty damn good and TV shows pretty okay.
Right.
I mean, they've dropped, what is it, Agent Carter's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, that's disappointing. But yeah, they dropped Agent Carter.
And I heard that Ghost Rider is going to be part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
Just bring back Blade. Ghostbusters and Blade. I mean, not Ghostbusters, but Ghost Rider in Blade makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was something with a flaming skull. I'm I think I know what that's about, but whatever.
Yeah.
I will still watch.
Doesn't seem to make sense to me, but that's okay.
Not everything has to.
No. It certainly doesn't. I would just think that they could make... maybe that's what they're planning on doing. This introducing him into that series is a backdoor to a pilot. And then you have a Netflix series where it's all the... I forget what that storyline was called in the 90s. It was but they had all the comic books that had horror themed stuff or spooky stuff all kind of converged, and it was Morbius and Ghost Rider and Blade and all these other creepy characters all kind of were kind of their own little side story kind of thing going on, because it makes sense to do that. I mean, I don't see where he fits otherwise in the Marvel universe. I don't see them putting Ghost Rider in the Avengers films or anything like that.
Right.
It doesn't really kind of fit there.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, they could finally jump, and be bad. I mean, there's been enough of TV shows that I've watched in the past that have been really, really good, and suddenly there's that moment. It's oh,
yeah,
really.
Yep.
So who knows? I mean, we'll see what happens when they come back. Sure. It had a weak start as a series. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a relatively weak start, but it was enough to keep me interested until it got really, really in depth. But I mean, they introduced the Inhumans, the idea of the Inhumans, and that may become, that's going to probably become something. So,
I think my understanding of that's just more fertile ground for them to till because, again, it's characters that people aren't as familiar with. But what I've heard about the whole Inhumans thing is that it's kind of like they're, we can't do our own X-Men films, so we're going to do Inhumans. Right. And, like, some of the characters that we haven't explored in the X-Men films, we can kind of bring in through Inhumans. Because they're not really mutants, but, like, they're of a similar scope of...
Yeah, same idea.
Yeah, it's not like these
They've got a power. And...
Right, and there's kind of, like, metaphysical stuff going on in there. And you can even get some of the cosmic characters in there that way. As opposed to, like, putting Thor next to Captain America. It's like this... strange. To me, it's strange. Yeah. Like, Thor... Captain America and Iron Man and the Hulk, there's kind of a cohesion there. Because those are humans who were granted powers in a certain way. I'm not saying that you could just totally make a Hulk. But, like,
right, yeah.
It's not like... It doesn't take a certain leap of... It's a leap in a different direction, is what I'm saying. They're equally implausible, but just they go in two totally different directions. But we've been watching a lot of TV lately because we have this service called CISO, which is this NBC streaming platform, which is all comedy, which has a lot of older stuff. Like, it's got all the old Monty Python stuff and all the old Kids in the Hall, and you remember The Young Ones?
I remember them, but I didn't really watch them.
Yeah, BBC series in the 80s about these guys who all live in a house together, and they're these, like, caricatures of the time. Like, there's a punk rocker, and there's the poet, and there's the anarchist, and, all these different weird characters. So they've got all this older stuff, too, but then they have, like, their own original series. They have this show called Harmon Quest, which is a spin-off of this Dan Harmon's podcast, Harmontown, where, like, he would have friends sit down with this friend of his and just do, like, D&D.
Yeah.
Which gets really funny depending on who the guests are and stuff like that. It's not always great because some people just don't get it. But, sometimes the amount of bewilderment is kind of amusing too. But they decided to do it as a show and also animate it. So you'll see them sitting at the table playing the game, but then also their characters doing what they're doing animated. And it comes out pretty funny. And they did like a series of that.
Interesting.
And then stand-up comedian Cameron Esposito and her wife Rhea Butcher also just had a show that debuted, I think, on the 11th called Take My Wife, which is only 6 episodes long, and they're like half-hour episodes, but it was like seriously one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. It's really good, really funny. So that's been really fun. And then, do you guys have HBO or any of the HBO services?
No, we don't.
I might have to try to help you out with something, but there's a show called Vice Principals that's on right now.
Okay.
It started about 5 weeks ago, and it's pretty funny. Like, Bill Murray, like, has a cameo in the first episode, but he's just the outgoing principal.
Right.
And it's just about these two guys that are kind of like co-vice principals. Like, one of them's in charge of discipline, and the other one's not. His role's actually kind of not very well defined, but he's like way more of a character. It's just them kind of like at first being at odds and at each other's necks for this job, and then the new principal comes in. They both think they're up for the role, but this new principal just comes in, and they're both just like, "Oh, we've got to take her down." It's just like the ridiculous stuff that happens, and like at first Liz was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this show. Like, this just paints people in the field of education with a very broad brush, and it's gonna make us look bad and stuff. And then she's like watching the show, and she's like, oh, this is too real. Like, these characters, obviously, again, caricatures, but like, she's like, so this one guy who's like too authoritarian and like too disciplinarian, she's like, I know a guy just like this. And I'm like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. But not quite so bad. But like, this guy's in the same realm. Like, if you met this person she's talking about and then this character, you'd be like, yeah, okay. So that's a character type. That's a person. I bet every school has a person just like
Everyone
that.
has that.
Yeah. But it's pretty funny. I mean, like, some of the episodes are a little less... like, there was one episode that was just kind of like... one of the vice principals wasn't in the episode at all, so I was kind of like, I didn't like that episode as much, because the one who's not the disciplinarian is played by this guy named Walton Goggins, I think his name is.
Interesting name.
And yeah, he's a character. He's been in a couple of Tarantino films lately and a few other things, and he's just like, he's this really strange character actor. Like, if you saw a picture of him, you'd be like, oh, I've seen him and stuff. And he's just like...
He's been in everything, I don't know what.
Yeah, here and there. And he's just crazy. Like, the second episode, if anybody wants to just, like, watch one episode in the series to see what the potential of the series is, the second episode is insane. Like, I watched it, and then when I watched it again with Liz, I laughed at everything so much harder, because Liz was just like, oh my god, why are they doing this? This is horrible. What is happening? And I'm just like, this is fucking hilarious what's happening right now. So that's been pretty good. I can't really think of much else that I've been watching lately, though. There was this new Netflix show called The Get Down, which is, I don't know. The first episode was like an hour and a half long, and then each subsequent episode is an hour long, and I'm just kind of like, there are 12 episodes in this thing? This is going to be really long. And it's about the, early mid 70s Bronx, and like these kids. Hip hop culture is just kind of like starting to gel, like breakdancing and graffiti arts and MCing and rapping and stuff like that are just starting to come together and start this this culture starting to come together. But the tone is really weird. It is like the main characters are all kids. But, like, people are getting shot and killed in, like, clubs and stuff, but it's also kind of, like, a comedy? I don't know, it's really weird. So I was like, I don't know how I feel about this yet. But, I don't know. I could keep watching it, or I could not. It could either, it could go either way. I was like, meh.
Yeah, we have to wait. I think the next Marvel one that's going to be on Netflix will be Luke Cage. I think it's coming soon.
I know a lot of people who are excited about Luke Cage and have a lot of expectations for it. It could be really good. And
Iron Fist, too. I think another one this week coming.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them, if they don't already have it in the pipeline. I mean, those are characters that have kind of run together. So,
the other things we've been watching, have you been watching any of the new Penn and Teller Fool Us to come out?
I haven't watched any of it. Well, that's not true. I think I watched one episode when I was at my cousin's place. Maybe.
They got the new host.
Oh, I didn't see that yet then.
Okay. It's, I can't think of her real name right now. Alison Hannigan.
Oh, okay.
Is the new host.
Right.
And, which is funny, because I swear she is every character she's ever played. She's that awkward, like... Yeah. She's almost like a little bit like female Jeff Goldblum in the way she is. She's like awkward in how she talks. Yeah. And everything, yeah. But, no, there's been some good magicians on there this year again. That's
some show that I really liked, but I just always forget to watch it.
It just started sometime in July. Like, we didn't even realize it started recording because we just leave the series thing on the DVR and, hey, ladies, we got something new. Okay, let's start watching it again. There you
go. I should see if it's on Hulu because I think it was on Hulu the last season.
The one strange thing that I noticed, it seems like we might have watched 4 or 5 episodes so far, but they must record all of them in one day. Because
same audience members.
Well, I'm less that I'm noticing the same audience, but Penn and Teller are wearing the exact same ties. Yeah. And Alison Hannigan's wearing the exact same dress. Like don't you usually plan ahead to just change the tie and have another outfit or something, change it up a little bit? Yeah. It's like, okay, well,
just wear a black skirt and then just change your blouse or something.
Yeah, it was like something, but whatever. I mean, I don't judge. They say just, all right, we're going to record again. Go ahead, go back on stage. All right, whatever. But it was, there's some good ones this year for that. I forget what else now. Well, it's Olympics, so when we've actually been home and not DVRing 5 hours of sports.
Right. Well, Liz is like, I want to watch the Olympics, but we don't we have cable, so I don't know why. She's like, but I want to watch the Olympics, but I don't want to have to watch it when it's on. Like, I don't want to have to be on their schedule. And I was like, just watch it online. And she's like, we can do that? Like, I didn't mean, watch it on your computer. I'm like, just go to the NBC app. And she's like, we have that? I'm like, yeah, scroll through. It's the one with the Olympic rings on it. You can just go there and then...
Is that on Roku?
Yeah.
That's on Roku. Because I was looking... There's a few, at least really... she used to ride horses when she was a kid. So we were... One of the times it said, oh, there's going to be equestrian on today. And I'm like... Why is it on? I'm looking at all different channels. Like, well, I could watch the equestrian channel right now, but we don't have Roku. we're just looking at whatever our Sony TV has on.
Right.
I'm like, there's no Olympic act. What the hell?
That's weird.
Yeah, nothing. Well, like, okay, I guess we'll watch what they tell us to watch.
Yeah, right. Watch it on our time frame, bro.
I mean, I think one of these days we'll figure out. We'll get one like a long wire that can just run as like the second
cord.
HDMI cord right around to the laptop, so I can run like as a second screen or something.
Yeah.
But I wasn't about to go do that.
Yeah, that can be pretty. I mean, it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, oh yeah. But it's just. I mean, it was very literally. It was like the Wednesday of the week. I'm like, I know we're doing Friday night. She's like, what? I said, watching the opening ceremony. She's like, oh, the Olympics are already? I'm like, she's usually the one who's on top of it, so the fact that it snuck up on her.
When does that end? It's not even.
It's just over a week over right now.
Yeah,
so,
I was gonna say like 6 days or something.
Sunday should be closing ceremonies.
Okay, yeah, the 21st.
Yeah, usually 17 days. They usually do the opening ceremonies on a Friday night, closing ceremonies on a Sunday.
Just good timing. They better have it done by the time that the next WWE pay-per-view is over. They don't want to compete with that. That's actually been interesting lately. Actually, I forgot to mention that is that not only does WWE on the network have their NXT, which is their developmental brand, but they recently just back in like the 2000s, they did this thing called the brand split. After they defeated WCW, and there's only one brand on TV. There was WWE with Raw and SmackDown. There were just two shows that had the same exact people on them every week. It was just two different networks, and, different time slot and things like that. But then they eventually just dropped that, and everybody was just on both shows again. But they decided to rekindle this brand split. So they did this draft where, because Raw is a 3-hour program and SmackDown's only a 2-hour program, Raw would get 3 picks and SmackDown would get 2 picks.
Right.
So they split everybody up, put them on different shows. And which is weird because now they only have one championship, and he's on, the champ is on one brand, and the other brand doesn't have a champion, like a world champ. But they're going to bring out a whole new world championship for that brand. The weird thing for me about the brand split is that they've decided that each brand is going to have their own tag team championship, and each brand will also have their own women's championship. When to me, because neither of those rosters is very deep, they don't. For me, they don't have enough female wrestlers, and they don't have enough dedicated tag teams to do that.
Right.
They should have just put women's on one brand and tag team on the other brand. Because otherwise, what you're going to do is you're going to get a lot of women, just the same matches over and over again. Mm-hmm. And then in the in the tag team division, when it gets boring, what they're going to do is take guys that are singles wrestlers and pair them up and throw them in the tag team division, which is not great in my estimation.
It can work for short times.
Yeah, sometimes. If you take two guys that aren't really connecting with the crowd and put them together in a tag team and then they get popular, that's a different story.
Right.
That's a good use of that type of talent. But it just seems to me like they should have just divvied them up because they're having this thing on the network called the Cruiserweight Classic.
Mm-hmm, you were talking about that.
And the Cruiserweight division is exclusive to one brand. It's going to be only on one brand. Which, why would you do that with just one of your divisions? It doesn't make any sense to me. But the Cruiserweight Classic has been... they just finished the first round. The first round was just... kind of decent. It was pretty decent. The matches were as good or better than what goes on every week on Raw and SmackDown. Kind of just behind what goes on NXT or on NXT's pay-per-view events. But the second round started this past Wednesday, and the first episode of the second round was amazing. There were only 2 matches on a 1-hour-long broadcast. And the first match was just pretty good. Mm-hmm. But the second match was like an instant classic. It was like one of the best matches that the WWE has broadcast this year, hands down. And I can think of like 3 or 4 other matches that were just as good. But yeah, it's really good. It's starting to heat up. And people are hoping that a lot of these guys, most of them, will get brought into the Cruiserweight division. If not, at least, 4 or 5 of these guys. But it's weird. They have, do you remember a guy named Yoshihiro Tajiri?
That's a vaguely familiar name.
From, the 2000s. He was, the Japanese buzzsaw. He would kick people in the head a lot, and he would, he pulled up... He hasn't used it, in the Cruiserweight Classics. But he used to do the mist. He would spray people in the face with green or black or red mist to incapacitate them. You know, he's one of those evil Japanese characters, which is weird in the 2000s and beyond. But yeah, so he was in there for a little bit, but he, spoiler alert, he won and he lost in one of his second round matches, which was good because like initially I was thinking he's pretty old to be in this tournament. He's in his 40s. He's like 45. They say he's 45. Right. He says he's 46. I don't know. I think he's maybe a little bit older than that. But I think like 46 means I'm older than 45, closer to 50, but I will just slightly cop to being a little older than 45. But no, he won his first round match, which just makes his loss in the second round mean something.
Right.
Which is good, because that's what older guys should do. They should be, quote-unquote, giving the rub, or, giving the exposure and the kudos to the younger guys who are going to have longer careers. So that was a good use of him, I thought. And they also have Brian Kendrick, he wrestled in WWE 10 years ago or whatever. He won his first round match. And, I mean, I don't really want to see him go further in the tournament, but it would seem a little bit formulaic if he does the same thing. Right. If he just wins and then loses immediately. Right. So I think maybe they'll make him go into the third round and then lose later. Which is kind of unfortunate because the guy he's going to beat, has a little more potential as far as career longevity is concerned. But so far the matches have been amazing. It's presented a little bit differently than any of the other WWE programming because it's not storyline driven. It's not like this guy wants to beat this guy up because he said this about this person. It's just like, we're here to wrestle because there's a tournament, and if I beat you, I continue in the tournament. Yeah. So that's been interesting. Yeah, it's been pretty good. Which is good because, Wednesday's like a pretty big night for wrestling in America right now because of, because of NXT's on Wednesday, and Cruiserweight Classic is on Wednesday, and also on the El Rey Network, which not everybody gets. There was Lucha Underground, which is off-season now, but we'll be back in September, which has been pretty good this year, too. Pretty decent. Different type of presentation for a show. It's got, like, backstage, drama sequences that are a lot like, they're filmed. They're kind of like, Breaking Bad-ish type stuff. But it's a little, it's a little cartoony, a little comic booky, but it's presented differently than most wrestling is. So that's been good. But, so we've been watching that. And, like I say, there's a lot of stuff on CISO, which is cool because, CISO is interesting because they had, at first it was just something you could watch on your laptop or on your phone. And then they launched a Roku app, but now you can get it if you can't, for some reason, on your device, your smart TV or whatever, you don't have it available to you. It's available as an add-on subscription on Hulu and Amazon, which is nice because it's like $4 or $5. And it's like a lot of really good content, so that's been a thing. We've been watching a lot of stuff on that. Like I say, the Take My Wife and Harmon Quest. Take My Wife was a lot better than Harmon Quest. Harmon Quest is way more laid back and goofy, but
seems more like almost a glorified YouTube channel show because it's just like, hey, we're sitting around, we're doing a role playing game, and we've had some animation added onto it.
Yeah, exactly. But that does remind me that I think it's coming out sometime in 2017. MST3K's reboot is they found their home on Netflix.
Yes,
so that'll be pretty cool.
Got Netflix.
Right. I know some people were kind of bummed because they're like, well, I backed this and now everybody's going to get to see it, but it's like,
that was never a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't like the only if you backed it, you were the only person to see the new stuff. Right. That was never the thing.
Yeah, I know. People are weird. They have weird, like, it's only for me and other people shouldn't get to see it. It's like, even if that was the case, even if they were only distributing it to you, what makes you think that it only takes one person to take the episode and torrent it?
Yep.
And then everybody gets it for free.
And then it's over.
So, yeah, I don't know. At least they're going to make some money on it. If it goes to Netflix,
true.
They make some money on it.
And they'll make more, hopefully.
Right.
And hopefully they're good.
You would hope so, yeah. I mean, and like we talked about this when the Kickstarter campaign was up. I wasn't super excited about it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like some of the people involved. I didn't like the whole copy-paste Nerdist crew dropped them into this kind of thing, but then I got kind of excited when they started talking about who some of the writers were. Mm-hmm. I think actually Dan Harmon was mentioned as one of the writers, and just like some of the people behind it get me excited about it. Not necessarily who's going to be on screen, but who the writers are going to be kind of make me hopeful.
What seems, I know the copy-paste Nerdist thing bothered you, but at least what it seems like is that they all are fans of the show.
Yeah.
So they're not going to come in and try and reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't have a problem specifically like Jonah Ray. Mm-hmm. I think he's funny. Mm. All right, fine. I think he's going to come in and try and reinvent the guy in the jumpsuit role.
Right.
He's the guy in the jumpsuit who's going to he's going to be part of the writing.
Right.
But, yeah, it's going to be a conglomeration of all the writing. So maybe you'll get one line that's like...
Yeah.
But, so, I'm hoping that, it's going to work that way.
Right. And I'm kind of, like, of two minds on the whole Son of TV's Frank thing.
Son of TV's Frank?
Yeah, that's who... Patton Oswalt's playing
yeah.
Son of TV's Frank, right? So, I'm like, it would be better if it was a new character, but, he kind of looks the part.
He does,
He
it
looks
works.
like he should be the Son of TV's Frank.
Uh-huh.
So, I can't tell him he's not the Son of TV's Frank.
Yeah. It's just interesting that he's, like, I think you said this last time we talked, it's interesting that he's still involved.
Yeah, you would think he'd be taking time off,
But apparently he's, I started to read the letter that he posted.
Oh, right.
Did you see that at all?
I saw, like, a lot of it floating around, but I kind of didn't want to.
Yeah,
We're talking about the fact that, unfortunately, his wife passed away a couple months ago now.
And he, like, disappeared off of, like, everything, and just, mourning, obviously.
Yeah.
And he posted a very long post, which was kind of just like an open letter to the world, or whatever you want to put it. I read most of it. It's just, I don't want to say it's amazing writing, because that makes it sound like it's a story.
Right.
But it was such a view inside of the mind of someone who is going through something like that.
Right.
With considering his mind is of the humor and whatever he has, so how he wrote things, how his brain was taking in what he's going through.
Well, he's a very intelligent person,
exactly.
So he has the ability to articulate.
Right. So it was very articulate.
Yeah.
It was I think as much as I did read of it, if you're up for something like that, to read that, it's something to read. Mm-hmm. And it seems like to me that him doing that was, I can't think of the word, but like very, not therapeutic. Cathartic, that was the word I was looking for. Yeah. I was like therapeutic, kind of same thing, but it's a little bit cathartic for him to do that, as well as therapeutic. To kind of put stuff in words and put stuff out there. Yeah.
So. Well, it's like cathartic. It's also kind of, it's almost, and I don't want to make it sound like he's copping out or anything like that, but it's a coping mechanism because you can sort of compartmentalize it. Like, this is me sitting down trying to articulate this. Also, I'm trying to write it. I'm not saying this to myself and just working at it in my mind. I'm turning it into an activity and something that I'm crafting. Right. And he's a comedian. He's a writer.
Right. And it definitely did come across a stream of consciousness for at least most parts of it. But absolutely agree about kind of using it as a coping mechanism through his talents to do that. Yeah. But apparently, he's still in. Yeah. Which is,
more power to him.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Some people need that. Like absolutely. In times of stress, they need work to take their mind off.
Just anything.
They need something to keep them moving. And I'm not saying obviously he's, like I say, he's a smart guy. He's intelligent, and he has the ability to articulate his thoughts very, very strongly. But all comedians have that. They all are that type. Not all of them. Some of them aren't, but a lot of them, and especially people in his sphere, like the comedians like Maria Bamford and people like that he hangs around with. They all use their comedy as a way to recontextualize and like digest their own trouble, all the problems that they faced in their life, stuff that they went through when they were kids or as young adults or in their 20s and 30s.
Or continuously.
Right, exactly.
Like Bamford,
as a way. Yeah. Did you see, you got Netflix. So
okay, Netflix. I have not seen any of her stuff, though.
Lady Dynamite is really good,
I've
too.
heard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, sometimes, and it's like like I was talking about Take My Wife with Cameron Esposito. I don't even really like her stand-up. Mm-hmm. I don't enjoy her stand-up so much. But as a character on a TV show, I thought it was really good. Like, and maybe now that she's got me in, so to speak, and kind of opened me that way, I should maybe check out her stand-up. Maybe I'd have, kind of a reason to set aside any prejudices or any preconceived notions I had about who she was as a person and be like, oh, this is, I can kind of get into this now. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Could be good. I think actually didn't a new Patton Oswalt stand-up drop on Netflix not too long ago, too?
Maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of stuff drops on Netflix. You just, there's a new Little Prince animated film on Netflix. Just dropped the other day, too.
Like, you don't hear about it, suddenly it pops up, like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, well, speaking of things that... I was like, earlier I said I couldn't remember what we watched on TV, but have you checked out Stranger Things yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
We have heard nothing but good.
Yeah.
And a few people kind of given their ways, like, if this person... It's like, imagine if... what was it? If Steven Spielberg were to direct a movie that was written by Stephen King.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which was an interesting way to put it. And a lot of people, there's a lot of, like, very 80s movies, tropes going on and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, I mean, I'm in. Mm-hmm. I think we started hearing more about that just before Bandcamp hit, and that sucks. Yeah. Because that sucks away all of our time.
Yeah.
Well, but we'll definitely hit that.
Think you've seen The Goonies, right? And Monster Squad. So it's it's like one of those 80s movies where there's a group of kids, so they're the main characters. And do you ever see The Pit, I think it was called? Oh no, The Gate.
Nope.
It was this like 80s horror movie about these two kids that decide they're going to see what happens if we play this rock record backwards. And they accidentally open up a portal to hell in their backyard. So it's kind of like, Monster Squad and The Goonies aren't really that dark.
No.
Like, they're more like adventure films. Mm-hmm. And this has some adventure and some comedy, but it does get kind of dark. Like, there's some darkness to it. So it'd be kind of more like The Gate in that respect. But it's very, or Stand By Me, like all these kind of slightly dark, sort of horror kids stuff, or like It, you know. So yeah, I could totally see the Spielberg King kind of thing together, definitely. But it was pretty good overall. I mean, one of the only things that bothered me about it was that all of the music choices are so on the nose and so almost generic at this point. Like, all these songs are played every day on 80s radio stations in the year 2016, basically. Yeah. So they must have been the cheapest songs they could get, or either that, or they felt like these are the songs that people most closely associate with that period. Yeah. So it won't be too jarring. Although there was one Bowie song. Oh, it was Heroes.
Right.
They wanted to use Heroes in the movie, but either they couldn't afford Bowie, like the Bowie version of the song, so they used like a Peter Gabriel cover of Heroes, which I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess if you're gonna stick with the 80s, you may as well get Peter Gabriel cover of the song, but it seemed a little out of place. But then all the other songs were, like I say, just too on the nose. Like, just all the 80s songs. Like, I don't remember if Take On Me is used in the movie.
I was about to say, was Take On Me from Aha in there? Because that's like the first song you think about when you think 80s music.
Right, exactly. But it just felt like if it wasn't in there, it totally fits with the songs that are in there.
Okay.
But, yeah, that was one of my only complaints. I was just like, these songs are... Like, there were more than just 10 songs in the 80s. I don't know if anyone knows this. There were a lot of songs. But it was pretty good. If you want to eventually get around to it.
Oh, we will. I mean, that's just... I know Elise is trying to work way ahead in school this year, so there's less work coming home. And with marching band, we actually have an intern this year. Right. Which is the funniest thing to say. So there are moments that one or both of us may not go to marching band. Right. So we may hopefully have a little time to do more stuff in the fall, which would be a nice thing, and not just go blink. Oh, hey, look, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right.
Ugh.
People got mad at us at work because I work at a store that sells cooking utensils and supplies and stuff like that. And we just recently did like we got more merchandise. We got like, new seasonal merchandise. So we have, at first it was just like fall looking stuff, which is funny because we don't really have fall in Florida. Right. So it was like, like
our fall's really in February.
Twiggy skeletal trees and like little plush acorns that you could hang on it and stuff like that for like a table centerpiece type thing, and a lot of wicker pumpkins and things like that. And people were like, you guys already have Halloween stuff? And we could, for like a couple days we could be like, oh, it's just like autumn stuff, it's just fall themed stuff. And then we just get like the explicitly Halloween stuff out a couple days later. It's like, like cookies with ghosts on them and bats and shit. And I was just like, well, there that goes. And people just walk in and they go, really? Already with the Halloween stuff? And I'm like, in the back of my mind thinking, yeah, I'm happy to have more Halloween. Like, you'll walk into a Walmart in 3 weeks and see tinsel and Christmas trees, and you won't bat an eye.
Well, I do.
Some people do, but
that was last year. You've been in our house around the holidays. Oh, yeah. You know that we're mega Christmas people, right? But it was like,
it's a shame they don't make any Christmas themed Disney stuff though.
I mean, we might be missing a few.
Well, if they made any, somebody hoarded it all away. That's might be in your closet.
Might be us. Yeah. But I forgot how many weeks. It must be like the first week of November last year or something. We went shopping at the not UTC, but the mall across from UTC. Yeah. Where there's the Bed Bath & Beyond. Mm-hmm. And the lights were in the trees already. Yeah. They were hanging in because University Parkway has all the lit up statuary and everything that they put out for the holidays. Okay. And I open and Elise goes to get in the car. It goes out to go I'll hop out and grab whatever. I'll wait in the car. And I went, sit there. And I rolled down the window. And the music that's playing in the shopping, this is the outside parking lot. It's echoing. I'm hearing Christmas freaking carols. I'm like it was October 2 days ago.
Jingle bells and stuff.
And I went, wait a minute. And I don't listen to regular radio. I always have the iPod hooked up. Right. So I said, I wonder. And I went FM and I started rotating it. And I'm like, fuck you, Christmas music on the radio too already. And Elise gets in the car. I had to look at her. She's like, what? I'm like, I love Christmas. But it's a little early.
Yeah, well,
like let's differentiate a little bit.
Seems to work though. I mean,
it does.
People buy that stuff.
It's true.
They do.
We do. Bad people that we are.
Yeah. But if we're gonna have an extended holiday, an extended Christmas season, I'm more than happy to have an extended Halloween season. I'm more on the Halloween side. Liz is weird. Liz's favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. She loves Thanksgiving. And I'm not against Thanksgiving, but it's like Christmas without presents. It's like you get food and stuff, and the food is great. And the whole idea behind Thanksgiving is great. But you pretty much do the same thing at Christmas.
Right, except there's presents in a tree.
You're here with family and stuff like that. And then for somebody who happens to be more Native American than I am, to be like, yeah, Thanksgiving. It's like, I guess.
You killed my ancestors.
It means to people what it became as, as what their family made it mean to them.
Well, yeah, we may be really into Christmas. We're not into the religious meaning of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't come around our house, and if it's what you do, it's what you do. We don't have crosses and mangers and baby Jesus everywhere. It is Christmas fun, whatever, because it's like, well, it's a time for friends and family to get together.
Yeah, I don't see how anybody can, draw or make any complaints about people who aren't super religious. In America, celebrating Christmas when, Santa Claus is a corporate mascot in America. If I go into your house and you have Santa Claus in green and white, you can talk. But if you have Santa Claus in red and white, you can shut up.
We got both.
Because that's Coca-Cola Santa Claus. They invented red and white Santa Claus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is where I defend myself. We have both.
No, that's fine. I mean, I know. You're not coming to me and being like, you shouldn't. I've had people tell me that, too. oh, you celebrate Christmas? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, aren't you an atheist? I'm like, uh-huh. But I like gifts and food. And for me, that's what Christmas is. That's what my family does. I don't know about your family. That's what my family does for Christmas. We give each other gifts, and we eat a bunch of food.
Yeah, we spend a little time, and then we... whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's even better now that I'm an adult, because I don't live in a place that's oppressively... like, you can't go anywhere because of the weather.
Right. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, Christmas is pretty much fall. Like, from... And I probably told you the story before, but when I was a kid, growing up in New Hampshire, it was like... you would have summer from, like, mid-June to mid-September. That was summer. And that was it. And the rest of the year was cold. And most of the time it was snowing. Like, no shit. Like, 7 months out of the year, snow. 6 at the least. Just half the fucking year is snow. and when I lived in Chicago, I could at least go places because of the bus and trains and shit like that. But just being able to, like, just saying, oh, yeah, so it snowed and then it rained. So we can't go anywhere because black ice. Or, yeah, well, we'll go tomorrow sometime after the plows go through.
Right, yeah, you gotta wait for the plows.
Yeah, and then they're gonna salt, and then all that salty snow is gonna kick up on the undercarriage of your car, and then you gotta buy a new car before yours. So,
yeah,
it's no fun.
I honestly, it's one of the few reasons. I mean, I love my family and friends up north.
Yeah,
and we did it 1 year. We did Christmas down here. I'm like, I want that back again, because just like, hey, 2 days before Christmas, we had, Elisa's mom and aunt came down. We had gone up to visit family for Thanksgiving. I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, shopping for Christmas Eve dinner. Okay. Christmas Eve, I'm on the porch, sitting, my feet up, playing a game on the iPad while Elisa's baking. Okay. And then we went back up last year. We lucked out that it was in the 70s up there for Christmas last year. And then we got on the road the day before the snow was supposed to hit. We're like, well, we don't want to get stuck here. Yeah. Yeah, love my family, love my friends. But I also don't miss that shit. Right.
Well, this is like, visiting New Hampshire was interesting for Liz because she got, like, perspective on some of my idiosyncratic, like, some of the weird personality quirks I have. Like, she had, like, 2 days in, she was like, oh, I understand why you don't want to drive. I get it now. Because she said the whole time she was there, she was in fight or flight. Because she didn't realize that, I'm sure she didn't, like, not realize this because she's not an intelligent person, but being on the ground there, she noticed that when you drive, sometimes you can't see where you're driving because you're going over a hill. So you literally don't know what's on the other side of the hill. You just see this hill and you're going to be driving over it, and then who knows where you are.
Yeah, eventually you'll see something.
Right. So, like, the whole time she was just kind of, like, locked. She's just like, the whole time. And we drove on some back roads that weren't paved. So that was interesting. We actually got, at one point when we were going to the cemetery, we got locked in, like, a GPS loop. Where, like, GPS was like, oh, and then you're going here, and you're 5 minutes away from your destination. Oh, no, it was like you're 20 minutes away from your destination. But you got to pull off on this dirt road now. And we're like, okay, cool. So we go on this dirt road, and it's like, you're 5 minutes away from your destination. We're like, that's weird. So then we're going on this road, and then we're coming back around, and it's like, and now you're 5 minutes away from your destination. Okay, we're back where we started, and we're 5 minutes away, instead of being 20 minutes away. But now you're telling us to go back on this loop again. It's like, yeah, go back on that loop. And I'm like, no. Like, I don't know what kind of Twilight Zone bullshit this is, but we're not going. But we ended up buying, like, a pint of maple syrup, because we're like, hey, this maple syrup house is here. Let's pull in and ask them for directions. And Liz is like, also, I bought some delicious maple syrup. I'm like, okay. All right, fine. But, yeah, just other things like the town I was born in, Berlin, New Hampshire. has some of the most insane roads ever. Like, you've seen photos of like roads in like San Francisco that are like super steep.
Yeah.
This is like, they just insane. No reason to build a road in these places where they have built these roads in Berlin. And she's like, what do you do when you have to go down this road in the winter when it's snowy? I'm like, well, first of all, nobody parks on the streets because a lot of cars just go sideways down these. Like, you just start going down, and if you lose traction, you just go with it. Like, you just slide and hope that you don't go off the road or hit a railing or hit someone's porch. And she's like, that's fucking horrifying. And I'm like, yeah, winter is deadly. It's serious business. Like, I don't know, I might have told this story before too, but she's like, I would love to just like, if it snowed like 2 feet of snow, I would just like tunnel through it. And I'm like, yeah, you would die. She's like, how would I die? I'm like, it would collapse on you. And she's like, it could just collapse on you? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you're from Florida.
People have died doing this, Liz. And I'm like, I was like, but if you ever do go like tunneling in snow and you get lost, she's like, what do you mean get lost? I'm like, sometimes when you're tunneling around in snow, for whatever reason, like, that's actually a survival instinct. If you ever get lost in like, the snow, is like, your body tells you to tunnel for whatever reason. So people do this. But if you get lost and you don't know which way is up anymore, you have to spit. And she's like, why would you spit? I'm like, because if the spit drops, go up. And she's like, what happens if you don't do that? I'm like, you probably die. You probably freeze to death and die. I'm like, if you keep tunneling the wrong way, it's not good. She's like, snow is scary. I'm like, yeah. People die all the time in
Snow is pretty until it kills you.
Right. She was excited to maybe see a moose, but we didn't see any moose while we were there. And we did see 2 deer. One of them was dead on the side of the road and bloated. So it was like, just moribund and like its legs were sticking out. And then the other one, we were driving past a field where a farmer had their sheep, and there was just a deer just sitting there eating food with the sheep. And I was just like, did you see that? And she's like, I think I did. There were other weird little things that we saw on the side of the road. Like, there's and I totally forgot it was there. But we ended up driving past it one way and then going past it again, I think, on a separate trip. But there's this, like, sharp rock that was off to the side of the road. And decades ago, 30 years ago, somebody decided that rock looks like a shark coming out of the water. So they painted it blue and then painted little white shark teeth on it and just left it there. And somebody just, like, clearly goes there every now and again and, like,
touches it up.
Yep, just gotta touch up the shark rock. And I was driving by and I saw it and I didn't have time to, like, point it out to Liz, and I was like, when we go past that again, I'm gonna be like, shark rock! And she was like, I told her about it. I was like, there's gonna be the shark rock. And she's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
You're making this up.
Yeah, right. And then we come around the corner, she's like, holy shit, there's a fucking shark rock! And I was like, yes. She's like, I thought you meant just like a rock shaped like a shark. And I was like, no, it's fucking painted like a shark. And she's like, I just didn't expect it to look like a shark.
I wasn't lying to you.
No, it's really a rock painted like a shark. But, yeah.
Too funny.
There's just not enough going on up there, so people get their jollies painting rocks and stuff. Yeah, no. We also went to my high school, the high school I went to. It was just open, because they have to let faculty in throughout the summer and whatnot. Yeah. So the front gate was just wide open, and they had maintenance guys doing shit here and there. And she was like, do you want to go in? And I was like, no. She's like, we could just walk in. I'm sure it's wide open. And I was like, I do not want to go inside this school.
They might remember me.
Not at all. Don't want to go in there, not even a little bit. And she was like, okay, fine. But so we just drove her on the back side of the building, and she was like, there's a fucking horse stable here. And I was like, yeah, it's over. And then just by that is the sugar shack. And she's like, what's a sugar shack? I'm like, that's where they make the maple syrup. And she's like, you guys had like a serious vocational agriculture unit here? I was like, yeah, people people are farmers here and shit. I'm like, there's no industry here anymore. I mean, there's really the only source of income for a lot of people is tourism. So, I mean, farming is still a thing. I mean, she's just like, there's just nothing here. There's just forests and mountains, and she was just like amazed by some of the mountains. And I was like, I forgot some of these mountains were just as big as they are, but you just come over a hill and there's just mountains everywhere. And I was like, fuck. But she was just like, when she wasn't in fight or flight mode, she was just like, oh, pretty. And I'm just like, just stay on the road. Don't drive into the other lane. At one point, she drove into the breakdown lane. She just starts veering off to the right. And she was doing this on purpose. She wasn't, like, not paying attention to the road, but she just pulls into the breakdown lane. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, there's 2 lanes here. I'm like, no, this is the breakdown lane. She's like, what's a breakdown lane? I'm like, it's a whole paved lane for you to break down in.
Also known as a shoulder, Liz.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, here in Florida, we don't really have that. You know, there's like, an unpaved area off to the side.
Yeah.
But you hardly, I mean, sometimes on the interstates and whatnot you do, but I also showed her an area where, I forget what they're called, but like a runaway lane for, like, trucks. Because there's this, going into Berlin, New Hampshire, there's this big hill that you go up. And if you, like, lose your brakes on this hill, what do you do? Yeah. So they built this lane that you can just drive down that's, like, gravelly rocks and then just, like, a big wall at the end of it. And she's like, what is that for? I'm like, oh, it's for people to crash in. And she's like, what? I'm like, if you come down over this hill, because it's like a major trade route, you know, so lots of trucks, you know, 18-wheelers and shit go down there. I was like, yeah, if you lose your brakes, you have to go somewhere. So this is where you crash your truck. And she's like, we don't have those in Florida. I'm like, we don't have hills in Florida.
Right.
Of course you don't have these in Florida. So there were just like a lot of little weird things like that. Also that there are hardly any bathrooms for, there's just no bathrooms anywhere. I mean, they're in like houses and restaurants and shit like that, yes. But if you go into like a pharmacy, no public restroom. Period. Not even for paying customers. Just no bathroom. At all.
I was accustomed to that up in Jersey too. So.
Yeah, same there.
I mean, I remember, there'd be the odd time, like, I'd be food shopping with my mother.
Like a restaurant. Yeah,
right, but I like a grocery store.
No.
And, like, an employee, like, if they recognize, like, they'd bring me into, like, the storeroom and bring me to, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, not for nothing, no.
No, I forgot about that. But, yeah, when it started happening, at one point she had to use the bathroom, so she was like, I'm just going to go into this church and use the bathroom. And I was like, okay. And she went in and she was like, there's no bathroom in there. I was like, okay, well, let's go to this pharmacy. There's no bathroom in here either. She's like, where are we going to use the restroom? I was like, you should have thought about that when we were eating pizza 20 minutes ago. She's like, I didn't have to go then. I'm like, it's usually how it works, I guess.
Yep.
So that was fun. But our trip to New Hampshire, she probably never wants to go back, though. Primarily just because landing in Manchester, New Hampshire is a harrowing experience.
Is this one of those airports that the approach is, like, fucked up?
Yes.
Okay.
It's very steep because their runway is, like,
in the middle of mountains.
Half the length of what we have in, like, Tampa. So, yeah, it's abrupt. It's
like, land break.
Yeah. It was weird, though, because, like, it didn't bother me so much because I think I'd flown that way before, and whether or not I remembered it explicitly, I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'm sure I've been through this before, but on the way home, we had a shit ton of turbulence. And I was just like, we're going to die. We're going to die on the way home. I was like, well, at least we got a whole vacation in, so that's one thing, but yeah, I don't know. She thought she was going to die on the way there. I thought we were going to die on the way back, which is so absurd because it's like, how many flights take off and land every day?
I know, but I think no matter what, as much as flying is a part of everyday life, generally as an animal, we are not accustomed to being in the air and just being anywhere and suddenly wherever I am dropping 100 feet.
Right. Well, and you think in your mind, you're like, well, statistically, it's only one in every however many million flights that crashes, and you're like, but this is the one.
Right.
There's the one happens. This is it. So it could happen. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, because I hate flying. I do it because it's necessary.
Right.
And I forgot one time, like, I really don't like the feeling like, you know, you feel like you're dropping like 2 feet.
Yeah.
And someone says, you know, you're not actually just dropping 2 feet. When that happens, you're sensing like a couple feet, but you're actually dropping probably about 50. I'm like, don't tell me these things.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you do that?
Right, thanks. That makes
You're
it so
a
much
jerk.
better. Right. Oh man. Yeah, no, our flights weren't that bad, and I'm not hugely against flying. It's so much faster. Our flight there was like Tampa to Baltimore, and then we were in Baltimore for like 30 minutes, and then Baltimore to Manchester. But on the way back, it was just Manchester straight to Tampa. So that was a little bit better. So that wasn't so bad. But it was super cloudy and very turbulent on the way back. So it was like, this is long and uncomfortable.
You like this?
Yeah.
That's me. I would rather drive, but it's the time that you put in driving.
Yeah.
If I can help it, I will fly. But and then I'm white knuckling the arms. And like I hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Right.
And I'll do everything I can. If I can, I'm like, if I know it's not going to bother, I will try to sleep.
Yeah.
I get up in the air. I chew gum the entire takeoff because I don't want my ears popping.
Right.
And then I'm like, am I going to piss anyone off with my snoring? Because if my head goes this way, I'll be okay. If it goes back, I'm snoring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to try and sleep. And I get nudged. I'm like, I guess I'm not sleeping.
Get you one of those pillow collars.
Yeah. My ring of shame.
It's a good look.
Yeah.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I just can't. I mean, Liz and I drove to North Carolina, and then back to Florida, and then back to North Carolina, and then back to Florida once. And that was bad enough.
Yeah.
But driving all the way to New Hampshire...
Well, New Hampshire would be like 28 hours.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad. I mean, it would... For an 8-day vacation, it wouldn't be that bad, really.
Yeah.
But for her, it's a bit of a situation because I don't drive. So
Right.
she would be driving the whole way. But she took that on herself when we went to North Carolina anyway because her sister could have driven. She's just not the kind of person who lets people drive her car. Or maybe it's just her sister. I don't know. She just has specific phobias about her sister driving her car or something. But yeah, I don't think... I'm trying to remember if Jackie did drive any, but I don't think she did. I think Liz just drove the whole way to NC. But yeah, no, I can't see myself. I could see maybe taking a bus, but that can be really horrible too. Taking the bus is a real crapshoot because you get an interesting clientele.
Sketchy characters.
Yeah, I mean, the worst case scenario is like when I moved from Chicago in 2005. It was just after Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
So there were a lot of people taking buses around that time of varying temperaments with different, qualities of life. Just like their whole life was in a backpack and they smelled like mold or, whatever. Right. And they hadn't slept in days and like they had no money and they were having like family crises on the bus while everyone's unfortunate enough to not be able to move away from them at all. And then you have crazy layovers, like you're just like, oh, I'm in Missouri for 4 hours now, waiting for my next bus, like just sitting here at 2 a.m. Who knows? Like this is not a neighborhood to be in, or whatever. So those always. But I mean, I've taken the bus by myself. I took a bus by myself when I was a kid once, like when I must have been like, I don't know, 10 or something. But that was only like it was only like, I'd say like an hour or something like that. It was in state. It was from one city in New Hampshire to another city in New Hampshire. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there trains. I don't think I've taken a train outside of a state before.
Yeah, I mean, the only trains I really did was from our home area in Jersey over into New York City. Just so we wouldn't have to drive into New York City. Yeah. And that's not a big deal because you just, go to Penn Station or whatever, Grand Central, and that's it. That's out of state. That's the furthest I've never been on a long-term train ride.
Yeah. I've done, I took from Chicago to the suburbs, 45 minutes tops. But yeah, those are pretty nice though sometimes. Not bad. But I don't know, again, you probably have a lot of the same problems as you would taking the bus, taking a train from, all the way up a coast practically. But yeah. So how was Elise able to sleep last night? Was she super anxious about the new school year starting or what?
Actually, this was probably one of our easiest changeovers from summer to to school in a while. Mostly, I think it also helped that we had a really good last 4 days. We were in the movies 5 times.
Right.
We were doing the game day at the shop. We were doing some really cool stuff, and we got home last night. We saw Ghostbusters the second time. We're like, well, we gotta have dinner.
Yeah.
Because at that point, the only thing we had eaten all day was popcorn and a hot dog each. And we
with or without a bun?
With the bun.
Okay.
Yeah, we each had a hot dog, and then we were having popcorn, and lots of diet soda. And she got Reese's Pieces. I'm like, we need real food now. We need to have something real. And we've been watching for a while, but we're kind of both hitting like a plateau point. So we're like, you know what? We're gonna go out to eat. And we tried have you heard the Lazy Lobster?
No.
Up on Lockwood. It was not that bad, and we had a nice little seafood dinner. And that's not for you.
No.
Went home. We were just trying to catch up on all the Olympics that we've been DVRing.
Right.
Because we're like almost 90% full on DVR, which is a terabyte.
Yeah. Well, it's not like the Olympics would fill that up. There's so little Olympics programming.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
You're only talking about 5 days of 4 to 5 hours of programming each.
No biggie.
Yeah, so we just were starting to skim through, and we got to the point where she's like, I need to go to bed.
Yeah.
And just passed out.
Yeah.
Usually she's just like, I don't want summer to end, and she's just up to get every last minute before summer's over.
Right.
But I think it all kind of she was not anxious. Was Liz just like, I can't wait? Or
Liz went to bed pretty early last night, around like 10ish, I think, 10 maybe 11 at the latest. But I figured she was getting up around 7, but I wasn't sure what time she was going to get up. So I was planning on making her breakfast. So I came into the bedroom to check her phone to see what time her alarm was set for, and she was just like in bed, just playing around on her phone. I'm like, how long have you been awake? She's like half an hour. I'm like, when are you planning on being awake? It was like 6 in the morning. I'm like, she's like an hour and a half. I'm like, why are you awake? She's like, I'm so excited. I'm like, what a dork.
oh my god.
So I was like, all right, well, I'll start making breakfast and I'll let you know when it's ready. So I made her like a breakfast sandwich with like pan toasted bread and like egg. I was like, what can I make this? I try like weird things with eggs lately. Like, we don't keep milk in the fridge lately, so I always want to make like a scrambled egg or like a what's the word I'm looking for? An omelet, kind of like an omelet style egg type thing. So we don't have milk in the fridge, so I sometimes use sour cream. That works fine. The other day we didn't have any sour cream, so I was like, let me try ranch dressing. Worked okay. And then today I was like, well, I don't want to use ranch dressing again. What can I use? And we, again, don't have milk in the fridge. I'm like, I'm going to try using cottage cheese. It actually came out pretty good.
Huh.
So I made her like a bacon, egg breakfast sandwich on this nice bread that our friend Pat gave us. And Liz was like, so she's eating that, and she's like looking at her schedule. She's like, oh, apparently they're giving us breakfast today. And I was like, well, sorry. She's like, yeah, but now I don't have to eat breakfast, and everyone will think I'm not a pig. And I was like, okay. Fair enough.
Oh boy.
Yep. But I was like, yep, making breakfast.
Yeah, Liz is a strange one for that.
Uh-huh.
I can't wait for school to come back. Meanwhile, everyone else is like, ugh.
Yeah, right.
Go back.
She's a character, and she's like, and then I'm gonna. She's like, well, apparently they were told that they only have to be there until 3 today.
Yes.
But she's like, but I'm probably gonna end up being there until 6 because I just want to hang around and talk to everybody about what they're doing this year. And I'm like, oh my god.
Nerd.
And she's like, and then when I get home, I'm gonna have to go out and buy supplies. So you want to go buy school supplies with me tonight? And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So we're probably gonna go hit the dollar store and grab a bunch of cheap school supplies. I was like, sure, why not?
You are a nerd.
Yep. But I mean, she's been like going hard on the Pokemon Go stuff all summer, ever since it came out, really. And when we were in New Hampshire, it was like, it was cold at night. I mean, it wasn't cold, but it was like always during the day it was like in the mid 70s, and at night it would drop to like 65 at the worst.
That's
so
gorgeous.
It was really nice. So we were walking like 4 miles a night.
Yeah.
I should say, not hours, and we kind of had like a little circuit because we could walk in a certain loop, and by the time we got back to where we started, because of these spots that you have respawn and like restart every on a schedule. so we could walk around and capture Pokemon and then also get new stuff, and so it was a good cycle. So we, like I said, walking about 4 miles a night. I think the last night we walked like 7 miles, and I got a blister under my toe, and I was like, "Oh, that's great! I got a blister."
Like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, but it was the last night we were in New Hampshire. But then when we got back, she was like, still like, "We gotta go do Pokemon." But I was like, "It's too fucking hot. I am not walking around." She's like, "Okay, well, we'll drive, but you have to do the Pokemoning while I'm driving because I can't do it while I'm driving." I'm like, "Okay, fine." So I'm like getting her all her supplies at the Pokemon stops and catching all the random stuff that pops up and whatnot. So, but like some of these, for the most part, my experience with the Pokemon people as being dragged along with Liz has been, most of them are pretty considerate people.
Yes.
I mean, they see you, they know what you're doing. There's not really a competitive thing about it. Like, some of the memes that started circulating when it first started getting popular were that, like, people, there was a sentiment that you could steal Pokemon from people. Like, some kids knocked on my door because they wanted the Pikachu that was in my backyard, so I slammed the door and laughed at them and went and got it instead. And it's like, yeah, but they can still get it. I mean, that's not how it works at all. So there's not really, like, a competitive edge to it in that respect. There are ways for people to compete, but it's as far as collecting is concerned, there isn't. But like, it's more so when the driving is concerned because people are a little less considerate about what they do on the road. Because like some of these, like around the moat, the Marine Museum we have here, people just stop in the road and just when they're driving and just start catching stuff, and it's like, just pull off. There's ample places to pull off. Just pull the hell off. And, like, one night these kids were, like, just being really loud and, like, chasing each other and honking their horns and stuff. And it was just like, knock that shit off. That's not what this is about at all. And, like, there were cops around, but they weren't doing anything about it. And it's just like, this is how somebody spoils it for everybody else.
Yes.
Because somebody's going to see this and be... Because I've already seen... in this neighborhood, there were a couple of gyms, which are places where people can kind of park their Pokemon and fight and leave them there and defend a gym, and so to that kind of thing. Over here by the Yoders, and there were gyms there for weeks and weeks, and now there aren't gyms there anymore. So it's like, I don't know if it was somebody doing that actively, like them requesting that they remove this gym from the map, or if it was just not popular enough or something like that. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I would lean towards somebody saying, "Hey, we don't want this here because this is a quiet community, and we're getting too much activity at night, or who knows what." Because people, just in general anyway, people drive way too fast through Pinecraft neighborhood. They have those lit signs that tell you this is how fast you're driving. Slow down, but people still just race up to the red light at like 40, 45 miles an hour, and it's like, way over.
It's like, dude, you're gonna kill someone here.
Yeah, exactly. This is people walk and people drive like tricycles through here. Not okay.
No.
But so yeah, I mean, there's always that element to it. Like, people are always gonna
the jerks.
Yeah, exactly. Make it not as fun for other people. But on the whole, it's not been as bad as people try to make it out to be. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just not for me.
No, not at all.
I mean, in fact, the shop. I sent the picture to Liz.
Yeah.
They're like, we're making T-shirts.
Right.
So we got T-shirts.
Yeah, right.
And that's what when I pick Elise up at 3, we're gonna go over there. She's got to make some more.
Part of Liz's justification for why she played it so much is that she has to be on level with the kids to some degree.
Okay.
So she can't lose respect. She has to at least have
an excuse.
Have a foot. Exactly. She's like,
No,
well, I can't let them show me up. She's like, I kind of want there to be a stop at the school. I'm like, why? She's like, because then I'd be able to use it. I'm like, no, that's the worst.
That's the worst thing you want.
Kids aren't allowed to play the game at school. So why would you be allowed to play the game at school?
Well, when she's on her prep time, she would do it.
Yeah, exactly. So she's thinking, like, on off time, she should be allowed to. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's one thing, but, like, nothing to encourage the kids to do it when they're not supposed to do it at all. Period. But
I just really have this feeling that there actually might be a specific announcement made to kids, like, just so you know, this is still the rule with phones, and an exception is not this app.
No. Pokemon Go does not change the rules, not at all.
You take your phone out at the end of the day when you're allowed to, alright, whatever. But you also are still responsible for getting to the bus on time and getting off property by a certain time.
Right. Yep. So I wonder if anyone will try to start a Pokemon Go club.
Your wife.
Yeah, or apparently somebody else. We'll just call him by his nickname.
Oh, Hubs.
Yeah, Hubs might be down for that too. But
He's got enough of his own clubs.
yeah, right.
Hubs clubs.
The hub of clubs.
Oh my god.
Yep.
We take an hour. We're gonna take a walk around and just catch Pokemon.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
You get paid for that, I would do it.
yeah. I mean, depending on how oppressive the weather is. Yeah,
there's that too.
But I mean, there's the whole like, people are the jokes about all these Pokemon kids woke up the next day with aches and muscles they didn't know they had, and, but it's true. I mean, like I said, we were walking 4 miles a night, every night, the whole time we were in New Hampshire.
I mean, the fact that you have to walk around to actually catch these things, and then you have to walk certain distances to
hatch eggs,
and like you could try and cheat it by driving, but doesn't the meter go extremely slow?
If
you're going
driving,
over a certain speed,
exactly, you have to be going a certain speed to trick it. Well, not really trick it, but under a certain speed, it counts as walking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and at that point, that speed is generally not really that fast. It's not legal on a roadway.
Somebody we know is cheating at that game. Because you can, yes. Somebody we know is cheating at the name that you mouthed is the person who is doing it. Because, at least on the Android app, it's really easy to do this because it's just easier the way that Android's set up. You can, jailbreak your phone and stuff like that, and then trick your GPS into thinking you're places you aren't. So sometimes he'll send Liz, like a screen capture of something he's caught. And she'll be like, where did you get that? Because some things are region-specific. Yeah. Like, there are characters or Pokemon that you can only get in America, or only get in Japan, or certain areas. So, he'll have things that he shouldn't be able to have. And she'll be like, where'd you get that? And he's like, Texas. Because all you do is, this app, you can get these fake apps that spoof your GPS that say you're here. But they're cracking down on that. If you're found out to have been using those things, you will be banned for life.
Because that gentleman who we're speaking of, how many times I'm working at the shop, and we're
talking about you, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No biggie.
Oh gosh, that wasn't thunder this time. But like I'll be at the register, and suddenly like 4 or 5 people just go out the door and go down the way. I'm like, something just spawned.
Yep.
And they come back running and they're like, hey, so-and-so, we got this thing down there. It's like, oh, why didn't you wait for me? It's like, no, we had to go get it now. I'm like, oh my god, guys.
Yep.
It's really...
It's definitely... I think it's kind of, like, mellowed a little bit, but
it has.
I think when they notice, like, the daily users dropping off significantly, because there have been a few, like, things that people have been not so happy about. Apparently when they first launched it, there was, like... you could sort of see what was nearest to you, and they had this like little meter underneath them that was like 1, 2, or 3 footsteps. Right. Not really actual footsteps or feet or anything like that. It was just like a little icon that was their footprints. Right. And the fewer footprints, the closer they were to you. And it wasn't really working, so they kind of dropped it. And then there were some websites that would supposedly show you what has been spotted recently in your area or an area you're interested in. And they cut that out. They wouldn't let them do that anymore. So there have been some certain things that they've curbed that they haven't been so happy about, and there's been some backlash.
I know, there was some feature that they were fixing, and instead of making the fix and just updating it, they took it away for a while.
I think it was this proximity.
Okay, and people were like, "Fuck this!"
Yeah, people got mad about it.
It's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, some of these people that are mad, I forget that some people are actually spending money on this game. Because you can put real-world money on this game. Yeah. But, like, I think Liz bought one thing. She bought, like, more capacity or more storage or something in the game. And then besides that, everything else she's paid for using things that she earned by playing the game. So, that's one thing. But there's a lot to the game that they could do that they haven't done, and I think they will roll out when people start, like, when, they see a big drop, they'll be like, oh, now you can trade. Now you can fight people face to face. You see somebody, you can challenge them. They'll start throwing these things out there, and people will be like, oh, I wanted that the whole time, I'm back in.
I am so back.
Yeah. I started playing for, like, a day. There was this game called Pocket Mortys, which is based on the show Rick and Morty.
Right.
Which is not at all Pokemon Go. It's literally just a copy of Pokemon.
Right.
It's like literally you're moving your character around on a map, talking to characters, fighting them, battling them. But I played it for like a day, and I was like, this is terrible.
Did you see the thing that I sent you a link for, the horror?
I saw. I read into that, but it's not out yet, right? It's
No.
But
I was just reading the little bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
And
it's another augmented reality.
It's augmented reality, but it's like real time. It'll keep running in the background, like supposedly, like you'll get phantom texts, and it somehow uses the speakers. It can. They say using 3D audio techniques, it'll make like sound like it's coming from the corner of the room, away from your phone and stuff like that. And like,
it's supposed to try to like scare you when you're sleeping and
right.
stuff.
It'll do stuff like if you're actually walking around at night, it'll like show like glowing eyes coming up behind you and stuff like that. And like I will, but I think the few things that I read, I said to Alicia's like, no.
Yeah.
No. I'm like, yeah, like phantom text and like there's no. It's a 3D thing. It sounds good. No. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it, but I just think it's cool that they can do that.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. I mean, there's all kinds of like stuff that's gonna be on the bubble now because people are. I mean, there already have been augmented reality games. Like the whole architecture, basically, of Pokemon Go is based on a game that had been out for years, called Ingress. Andrew used to play it a lot and talk about it. And apparently there was an augmented reality game based on the TV show Mr. Robot, which is another show we started watching, which is really good. So it's not like a whole new thing, but, you know, now that Pokemon Go's kind of brought it really to the forefront, I think you'll see a lot more augmented reality games. I don't know. They're kind of neat, but they're not for me, just same way that you didn't really,
certain things.
Didn't really catch you.
It didn't get me.
Yep. All right, well...
We've now rambled.
Yep, for almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we're making up for a little time.
You could run this whole podcast while you're watching Batman vs. Superman and still have another 40 minutes.
This might be more interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, but...
This might be more interesting.
Yeah, exactly. You at least haven't heard all this crap before in different iterations. But, also, besides Batman vs. Superman not being very good, The Killing Joke was not very good either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was another... I was like, I gotta go see it! No.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but, I mean, have you ever read the graphic novel? Yeah, the graphic novel's not really that great. It's not even, honestly. It's really short, and it's just like, that's it? Okay, that's it. There's also, like, it's hard to describe without spoiling it, but there's something... The way the comic book ends is really hard to translate into actual visual... Like, there's an audio element to it that doesn't really work.
Right.
Like, it's hard to pull off without making theme... Because there's sort of an ambiguous thing that happens at the end of the comic book.
Okay.
And people have been asking, like, well, what happened at the end of the comic book? And people have had two different camps about what's happening in these, like, 3 panels, essentially. And in something where you have to have audio, you kind of have to color it. You kind of have to explicitly make a thing happen that you can leave ambiguous without audio.
Right.
So it kind of spoils it a little bit. And then there was... Most people complained about there being the whole Batman, Batgirl sex scene and stuff like that, but I don't know, whatever. It was disappointing. And it was like an hour and 10 minutes long. And the comic book's not very long either. They had to actually add stuff to it to make it an hour and 10 minutes long.
And then that's a bad sign.
It's not all that great. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Next time.
Yep, until next time.